So I need a
Live.
picture here. See what we can get.
All right. Good morning, Jake.
Oh, good morning. You didn't tell me you got a pretty picture up, so I didn't get a pretty picture up.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, we just keep rolling.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another exciting, fascinating episode of Making Turbo Pit Fighter. We're making a post-apocalyptic sci-fi comics, as you can see on the right. On the left, it's the tedium of lettering that I'm dealing with here. And I'm going to open up Photoshop on my old computer here and lay some letters in, some word balloons. But how was your week, Kurt? What's going on?
Real good. A lot of sad news, though. I hate to start us off with a bummer, but it's going to get a whole lot more sunshine when we get Matt King on. But yeah, we lost the great Chuck Norris and Sam Keith.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Damn. I was like, what the hell is going on, man? But
Well,
yeah,
Chuck,
it's
Chuck was kind of old, but Sam Keith, I don't. I think he should have been.
Sam Keith was 62.
Yeah.
It was like some sort of bodily dementia type of situation he had been struggling with. So yeah, just hearts and prayers go out to his family that have to now be without him. But his work is with us, so that is something monumental. I'm sure we'll start seeing some
Yep. Thank you.
YouTube channels doing their best to show off and showcase his work. So, but
Yeah. Well, he was, I think, best known for he started out with like some cool Wolverine stuff, and then he got into the Image group, and he was doing Max and
well,
Pit.
his one of his big claims to fame is he's the first artist on Sandman with Neil Gaiman.
Right.
And yeah, I mean that's one hell of a coming out of the gate comic to be on. And then of course, yeah, he does the Max with Image, and then it becomes a cartoon. I know when I was teaching in the early '90s comics, Spawn was always like that silent weight amongst the youth. It was just like yes, but like when the new Max comic came out, I couldn't get those kids to pay attention to anything other than that. So every time a new Sam Keith comic came out, that next class of mine, we would draw the Max. So it was the only way I could get, and I would always try to come up with different ways. And two, by the way, he was so experimental. I loved it because I would just invent my own experimentation, throwing stuff down, ink and splashing stuff, and the kids loved it. So, but yeah,
And yeah, they were influenced by it. You see the influence today. When you see an artist and it kind of reminds you of a little Sam Keith. Um, I think Alex Turbin was just doing a comic the other day that reminded me exactly of Keith. It's called like a Battlestar Barbarian comic. That
yeah, I'm getting copies this week. Yeah, it's off the hook. That's yeah. So I'll be showing that off soon. I'm going to show it off on my Chrome channel as well. But my biggest Chrome news is my second anthology mock-up book just arrived from the printer yesterday. So tomorrow is going to be completely devoted to this. I will be recording an episode where I'm going to flip page by page, but you will only be able to see the page by page flip and be able to purchase a copy for a limited time on cromthebarbarian.com. So let me just flash up the text. I'm super excited about this. So yeah, I'm gonna do it's 252 pages at this point. Of course, I've got to really make sure I get down around 200. But I am super excited about everything that has come through so far. Excuse me, with artists pages, I'll be talking about stuff that's already done. I have it, and then the work that I have to make sure I get done. So that was pretty cool
Uh,
news.
yeah, I got something cool in the mail too. Yeah, let's see, it's right here. It looks like a horror comic that I guess you got already from
Oh yeah,
Saboteur.
oh yeah.
And he sent a nice note along and a sticker. I think, or this is a pawn card, I think, in a little plastic case. I wonder about, like, when I get something like this, I'm always wondering, like, how much do these little plastic cases cost? All right, um, so we're gonna be, I guess, reviewing this now that I have it in hand.
We'll get Charlie, that's Saboteur Comics. He'll be popping on with us. I'm going to see if we can get him for next week.
Okay.
Um, so that'll be great. Also, my last little bit of news this week. Last Wednesday, I swung by Comics and Gaming, which is owned by our friend Tom Cellini.
You
We've had
did.
him twice on the show. Yep. Had to get an update on how the world of retail and comics and publishing. I was able to pick up um, one of two variant covered graphic novels for his line of toys. So he's gonna be his own double header when we have him on, because he has some great information going on about comic book retailing and how that's moving along, and then some of the amazing things he's been making happen with his Lost Landers, which, by the way, is Walter Simonson is the writer, and
Really?
it's created by Tom Cellini and Guy Dorian Sr. And then Guy Dorian Sr.'s son, no, I'm sorry, it is still Senior, is the inker and penciler on it. Yeah, no, it was a great time. I was also able to drop some copies of Crom, 2024 collected, and Crom anthologies. So if you're down in the Ocean City, Maryland region, he is carrying two copies right now. Uh, I made a joke right out of the gate. I'm like, these are really good additions for your Dungeons and Dragons section. And he said, "Yep, absolutely. I'll stick them in the Dungeons and Dragons section." So that was really super cool. And he also gave me a heads up for a show, Jake.
Yeah.
In I don't remember. All right, it's the Eastern Shore. This show really does have me pretty excited about attending. It's called Hawk, HAWK Con. It is at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, which has an art department, which the art department hosts this
Right.
comic show.
We've
And
heard
he
about
said,
that.
yeah, he said out of the gate, he goes, if you really want to, something, because I asked him, I was like, he has two shops, one in Gainesville and Fenwick Island, Ocean City area. And I was like, dude, I just really need like indie or just comic book friendly artist comic book shows. And he was like, HawkCon. And I was like, what? And so, yeah. Don't see, let's see, it was March 7th was their last one. Oh, no. Yeah. March 7th was their last one. So I am definitely going to keep this one on the radar. I don't know if that's a little bit of a haul for you because
They haven't
I'd be
announced
about
the next
3 hours. Huh?
They haven't announced the next one.
They haven't, but I'm going to put it on the radar. There's a hotel that my wife and I stay out when we go down to Bethany Beach area, which is only like, well, now, excuse me, let me scratch that. We got to kind of look more closer to the Eastern Shore. I was thinking of Tom's shop. But yeah, so we're going to have two amazing creators, one new and one a revisit, with Charlie from Saboteur Comics, and then Tom Shalini from Lost Landers and Comics and Gaming at Fenwick Island.
Right on. Yeah, Saboteur. Charlie sent me this letter. It says a little about me. I'm a guy who tried to draw comics, then quit to do concept art and video games. Real life got in the way. How many times do we hear that?
Yeah.
Then I got older and I said, screw it. I'm doing my childhood dream and pushed myself to finish Tommy's issue number one. And I think it's about like serial killer stuff. Oh, Tommy's is my take on a 1980s, early 90s underground book. Raw, no energy filter. And what I'm trying to capture in this book, the men talk to women like garbage, vulgar, meaning degrading. This is intentional to show the crafting of a killer. This is what he sees and believes. He's stuck, half kid, half man. His mother's death rattles him, but you'll see. Yeah, sounds like a couple of movies I've seen before. I think that reminds me a little bit of Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer movie, but we will see next week. I guess we're having Saboteur on finally. Saboteur has been a mainstay in our live chat, which has been very cool.
He's over there right now. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Yeah, I try to keep tabs on that. I'm sorry if we don't read those things like right away, but it's like we definitely catch up with them before we sign off. Yeah, so I messed up. I'm only on page 15. I'd finished two. I thought I had two left, but I finished two,
Okay.
and I must have got distracted and went to work on something else.
That's all right. It's all right. But yeah, no, it's we're coming along. I'm actually on the last two pages of Turbo Pit Fighter. You know, everybody, this is my 80% skeletal inking. And then I go into, as I'll be showing off today, with my blue um, Molotov uh, fluid liquid masking pen, and laying down the gray graphite wash. So next week I will be just finishing these pages, and the other thing too is I don't work from the top corner and then say I'm done and then and never look. I basically jump around a lot in order to create some consistency in the work. So the first page and the last page are equally strong. So I will actually be having pages from the previous 18, which I'm buying. I just purchased 13 by 19 portfolios, plastic portfolios. Because I have so many of our pages and then my Crom pages that I need to protect. And as we get to shows, I'll be able to have to show off and possibly sell. So, yeah.
Yep, I mean that's what it's all about in the end, right? Trying to sell some stuff. I had the same kind of question, like because I have all of this artwork I'm doing, and when it gets to like a finished point, I pull it out of the pad. Um, like something like this. I have a pinup of Hellclaw, and it started with blue line pencil. Then I moved to black line pencil. You can see, some of the blue line pencil still left. And then every time I just come to this page, I just work on it a little more, and then flip the page, go work on something else. And at some point, the page is done, and I pull them out and I put them in this like cardboard folder I have. And some of these are nice sellable pinups. Some of them are just like kind of background pages for the eventual, I don't know, zine page or something. Uh, that's what I've been doing. I actually did it yesterday on a live. I was going through a couple of pads and pulling out some pages, adding stuff to it, subtracting stuff to it, and trying to make sense of all these faces I've done. I'm yesterday I was specifically trying to pull art for the zine pages because we're gonna have the two zine pages. Plus, we're gonna have a lead-in page for the Duke and a lead-in page for the casualties. So I have all this kind of stuff I'm doing, and I pulled this one. This was a page I pulled with featuring Dr. E because she's a character. She's going to be a character coming up in Casualties number one. I finished a page for Casualties number one, blue line pencil. And speaking of blue line pencil, everybody knows that I have this new way of working where it really cuts down my revisions. Where I start in blue line, and sometimes I erase and then redo, erase and redo. But when I'm finished with my blue line, I just go over it with regular pencil, and you have two bites at the apple. So it's a really cool way of working. Well, what did I do this week? But I switched. I mean, I purchased from the same exact company a red line pencil and a green line pencil. So I have the blue, the red, and the green now, RGB, and I started working with it this way. It's a very interesting thing to work this way for finished art, with kind of like these three colors in the background because these are the what they call subtractive colors as opposed to the additive colors CMYK, and you can get a nice effect doing this. You could also use the red and the green for a nice look if you remember 3D Man and that kind of a feeling. Or you could use the red and the blue, or you could use the red and the green. So different combinations. But I recommend these pencils, and it's not as easy to buy a pack of blue line pencils as you think, but they are available online from China, and this is what they look like on Amazon. It's if you put a non-photo blue pencil, and here's what it looks like when it comes. Um, because I just bought a couple of packs to refill. I started getting nervous that I was running out, and this is what it looks like. So you get a pack of green, a pack of red, and a pack of blue, and this was like $15. But if you buy, there's like a 12 pack of each. But if you just buy the 12 pack of the blue pencil, because you don't want to screw around with the red and the green like I'm doing, um, you can pay five. What is it? 5.39 without shipping. And if you're a Prime member, you get the free shipping. If not, I don't know how much it costs to ship, but it depends where you're going to. Um, so it's a pretty good bargain, I think. And these things go quick. You can really whittle these things down if you're doing blue line pencil. Like I probably only get like 4 or 5 pages of finished comics, and then the pencil's really short, and I put it on the short pile. So that has really revolutionized my process, um, because you don't have to erase it. You just leave the blue line there, draw the black line over it, and then send it to the inker. And it's something where you could scan it in color and you could EQ out the blue anytime you want, or maybe you can't get rid of it completely, um, but you could definitely minimize it so that it's like not perceptible. And so I'm going to start recommending that to my students, but it might start to get a little expensive if you have to have a black pencil and a blue pencil for everything. If you're just a broke kid. So I'm trying to expose maybe like the better ones who are more talented and have a good chance of making it in the world.
And you're the one. And you're the one that decides that.
They're the one that decides that.
How is that decided?
That's well, the kids have their childhood, and some kids work on sports, and some kids work on art, and some kids just sit there and watch video games all day and play video games all day. So I guess it really is up to them. But all my students know that I do field trips to art high schools, and my classroom is open every day at lunch for anybody that wants to work on their art skills, and I have kids taking advantage of that every single day. Yeah, but there's so many. I mean, if you look at a seventh grader and you say, "Hey, what kind of high school you thinking about going to?" They will shrug and go, "Oh no." Um, and then like at this point in the year, you tell them, "All right, well, we're just about to be in April, so you have April, May, June, and then so now you're an eighth grader. You're not a seventh grader anymore. And then when we come back in the fall, you have September, October till the end of November to do your high school applications, and you have to have your portfolio done, whether you're doing art or whether you're doing dance or music or whatever you do. You have to have your talent. You have to have your examples that you can submit, whether you're making a video of a monologue and you're going to try out for a theater program, whatever you're trying to do in life. So I just keep telling them over and over, like a broken freaking record. Draw from observation, do a still life, figure drawing, and a self portrait. And then they have this other requirement that you draw a fantastic sandwich, which means like a sandwich with like unbelievable things in it, like a building or a school bus or whatever. And that's the audition every year, the same thing. And I take them to these great high schools, and I say, if you want to get into this high school, you might be applying for architecture or you might be applying for film. It doesn't matter. You still have to draw from observation to get your foot in the door. And again, some kids do it, not that many. Maybe like under 10 kids in the whole school in each grade are working on this. And then some kids just let life pass you by. Oh no. So, funny thing happened was we got the high school matches um, about 2 3 weeks ago, and guess what? That's when they start paying attention. They're like, "Oh, look, all my friends." They're like, "Yeah, they're because the eighth graders just got that right." So they're like, "Oh, all my friends are going to Fordham School of the Arts right here in the Bronx," and I'm like, "Where are you going?" And they're like, "Oh, I got accepted to Columbus because I didn't put anything in, and that's the nearest school." I'm like, you didn't even put anything down, and they're just like shaking their head, and they're looking at all their friends who are like high fiving, and they're going to a creative school, they're going to school with good, test scores and good college admissions and everything, and they're going to the neighborhood school with all of the street corner guys who go there, and I'm like, all right, this is what I was talking about. Does it ring a bell now? I hate to say I told you so, but
Told you so.
yeah. And every year it's the same thing. And I gotta be honest, I was the same way. I mean,
Of
I
course.
did my application and I got into a couple of specialized schools, so I had a pick of two different specialized schools. But when I actually made my pick, I was just following my friends. That was it. That was more important is where my friends are going than like what does it offer, how will this launch me into a career, how will this affect my entire life. Didn't care in the lives. All I cared about is where are Mark and Derek going. They were my besties, and so I went to, and they both got into the High School of Music and Art, which was an art school. So I went there instead of going to the academic school, Stuyvesant, which is the number one school in the city, if not the country. And I didn't go there. Of course, they have art there too, but I just wanted to be with my friends. So who knows, what could have been if I went to an academic school instead. But art. I get to music and art, which later on turned into LaGuardia High School of the Arts, and it turns out it's a pretty big druggy school. And the really good art classes are not until you get to be like a junior and senior. So I didn't have a good time at that school. I actually dropped out, and when I was in 11th grade, and I went to my local zone school. So I do not have the ideal track record myself, and so I know what these kids are going through, and so I'm trying to break through, the haze of childhood apathy, like, and get these kids into a decent school. So
I was going to the army.
you thought you were going to the army?
I didn't think it. I knew it. I went down, and you got a whole period where all the college and universities were down in the cafeteria, and I was first off, I did not like high school at all, so I did not want to go to another high school for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked in restaurants at that point, actually at a country club, and I was actually going in early to work with the chef. So there was talk about going into chef school, culinary school, excuse me, more correct. But I go down, and right at the entranceway to the uh, cafeteria was the army recruiter, Sergeant Hamilton. And I was like, screw this. I'm not going to college with these nuts. And so I just turned to the guy and I said, all right, talk to me. And he was like, oh, okay. And so then, hung out and talked to him. And he was really, really, everybody I think puts a really bad stigma on military recruitment. But it was really all about me. Like, it wasn't like, let's sign you up. It was like, what are your grades like? Are you in sports? Do you have friends? They don't want any just quote unquote dropout already to come in. Um, so, and this is the funny part. My father was in the army, and my art teacher, one of my art teachers, Mr. Jim Thompson. And so that all, he's like, oh, well, give me your information, your phone number and address and stuff. And then, we'll set up a meeting, and, we'll go through the next phase. So it wasn't as easy as like, I signed a piece of paper and I was in the army. So I go back up. My next class is art. So I go and I sit down and I take out my work and I'm working on it. And Jim Thompson, my art teacher, comes by, sits down. He was like, so what schools were you interested in? I said, none of them. And he's like, looking at me. He's like, well, what do you mean? I said, oh, I just talked to the army recruiter. And he's like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, well, my dad went to the army. I figured, I go to the army and then, I'll figure it out from there. And this is what he said. I'll never forget. He goes, there are art schools, Kurt. I went, huh? And he goes, hold on a second. So he runs back into the office, comes out with a stack of brochures from all the local art schools, up through New Jersey, Joe Kubert, Antonelli's, University of the Arts, Tyler, Art Institute, Maryland Institute, College of Art. And I'm like, you're kidding me. I could go somewhere for 4 years and just study art. He goes, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, just take them all with you and talk to your parents. So then I talked to got home, put them on the table. And I said, but I signed up with an army recruiter. And my dad was like, what the hell are you doing? Well, you went to the army. I don't want to go to college with a bunch of people I just spent 4 years with. But Mr. Thompson said there's art schools. And they're like, you're not going to the army. I was like, why not? And my dad goes, because you're an asshole. And I was an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, I was always butting up against things, my classmates, and, it was a trick, what do you call him? Not a trickster, but, somebody who was always trying to undermine things and everything. So he goes, they're going to kick you out as fast as that they recruit you. So then when he called me, Sergeant Hamilton, I did. And he goes, and I remember what he said too. He was like, well, that's good news. He goes, why don't you investigate that? And, if you change your mind, I'm going to be here. You have my number and everything. I was like, oh, thank you, Sergeant Hamilton. And so, of course, long story of going to all these art schools. I hated Philadelphia. I still hate Philadelphia in the way like living there. I did not. I had to get out of the house. That was the other thing. I had to get out of the house, and got to Baltimore. Only had 1 foot out of the van on the pavement, and my brain said, "You're coming here." And I talked my way into that school. I had a portfolio, but it was basically comic book sketchbooks. I mean, I had my other pieces of work which had lacklusterness to them, like the still life and the self portrait and all that kind of stuff. You know that.
Yeah.
But I was passionate about comic books, especially European and Japanese. I was using that kind of language and stuff. And the guy was like, "Whoa, all right." So I got accepted to the Maryland Institute College of Art and shipped out 1988 and graduated in 92 and loved every fucking minute of those 4 years. Uh,
Well, when I go to high schools, they all have a college office that we tour, and they, sometimes they have a little list of all of their graduates and where they're going, and they have like a poster, and you can see like, how many kids are going where, and with high school fashion industries where I send a lot of my students, about 20% of them end up going to fashion industry, FIT, which is the SUNY School for Fashion. Like I was, they tell me like 1 out of every 5 kids in the high school go to the college, and which is pretty amazing. So it's like a real pipeline. But some of my students aren't really going to go to college. I don't think. I don't. Like it seems like it's less and less of an option for for kids that really need a paycheck rather than starting some debt. um
yeah,
and I don't know if it's just like the mentality of the family and the credit history and all that, but um if a high school nowadays has some college courses, or at least like some college level instruction, you could jump right into work, and a lot of kids do. So there, everybody splits up and goes a lot of different ways, but I think the argument for going to college, for what it costs now, is getting tougher and tougher to make. And even to kids. So these kids, like what you went through, like I don't really deal with that because I'm just worried about getting middle school kids into a high school.
yeah, yeah,
But it's it's still the age old dilemma, whether to go to college or not. And when you go to high school, is everything that you're doing there just trying to set up your college admission? Because that's when it gets pretty serious. If you can get like a scholarship or get some free money, that's the difference maker, for these kids. This isn't like the suburbs where you just go to your local middle school. No matter, everybody in the whole town or the district goes to the same middle school. you know we have all different middle schools and all different high schools. So in New York City, it's pretty crazy. About 50% of the high school kids in the city get on a train and travel an average of 45 minutes one way
yeah.
to go to a high school that has something special, for them. And I like that because I get all my art kids out of the Bronx and into a good school in Manhattan where they can network. And there are a couple of schools in the Bronx that are on my decent list. Fordham High School of the Arts, I really recommend strongly. But a lot of parents won't let their kid go on a train every day. Like you should see, Kurt. I don't know when last time you've been on a New York City subway was.
Last year.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Did anything weird happen? Like you're just sitting minding your business, and then somebody comes in the car, and they say, "Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please." Right? And then they proceed to either panhandle or play some music or do a opera or do a soliloquy, or they do some breakdancing, or maybe some a little bit of preaching the gospel. Like what you never know what it is, but every single day there's something going on New York City subway cars, and sometimes you get into a car and there's just a homeless guy like spread out on the seat, and it smells weird, and there's puddles all around. So, that's not great when you're a kid and when you're a parent, I mean, I've been on field trips. I've been on field trips with sixth graders, right? So these are like 11-year-olds. Some of them are only 10, but usually the field trips are at the end of the year, so they're like 11 or 12. And there's just people smoking in the car, and no cops anywhere. And I tell the kids we have to get out at the next stop because they're like, Mr. Jacobs, my asthma is kicking up and I don't have my inhaler. I'm like, these people are smoking weed right in front of a bunch of sixth graders. And like, I'm giving them the look like, hello, do you care that there's a car full of children here? No, no,
No, no,
absolutely not.
no.
So, you can fault parents for not wanting to send their kids on a train every day. And another thing that's happening now that we didn't have last year is that like a lot of moms, a lot of parents want to keep the kids walking to school because they're afraid of ice, and there's a couple of, I think there's about 7 or 8 New York City high school kids that are in ice detention now. So they're afraid that they're going to get kidnapped off the street by these masked ICE agents, and that's scary as hell. And so they're just like, no, you're not going to go on a train. You're not going to go far away. You're just going to walk straight home, and come home, lock the door, and people are really scared out there. Um, so it was an interesting year, but I'm pretty happy we got 6 kids into Fordham. We got 8 kids into fashion. We got one kid into art and design, where they have a cartooning program. I'm not sure if he's going to try to get into the cartooning program, but that, of course, is the school that gave us Neil Adams, John Romita, Alex Toth, um, um, Frank. What's his name? Frank Brunner. All the greatest. Carmine Infantino went there. Mark Teixeira went there. Um, yeah, just like a stellar list, and they have just like the greatest comic art program. But the funny thing is about that school is, um, how many kids, like, I really talk up that school and I try to get kids into that school. I only got one kid in this year. I help them, like, number one, be aware of the school. Number two, get your portfolio ready. Number three, get to all the open houses, and make sure they know who you are, and get on the good radar and everything. So I only got one this year. He is a talented kid, but I never knew. I was talking to the guidance counselor there, and they say about only 20% of the kids actually end up in the field, which I didn't know. So it's really just like a fun school to go to when you're a kid, and then they all end up doing other things. Like, I was talking to this like really good student there who was she was like one of the ambassadors for our field trip, and she's going to law school. And so it isn't like, they end up not doing something art related and they end up driving a truck. They end up being in all different kinds of fields, doing all kinds of interesting things. So, you know, that's the
That's the problem with education is specialized training. Other than which arts used to be trade. That was one of the things, is that you were actually going to art school to learn the trade of pre-press, paste up, magazine layout, graphic design, illustration. These were all trade. You got your skill set down, and then you got yourself a rep, or you went into agencies, looking either for freelance or in-house work and stuff. It was there when I graduated from school. Um, I had already this my second my the first semester of my senior year. I had already interviewed and gotten accepted at Barley Mills DuPont graphics station department, graphics department, and so I already had the job. And when my second semester, I think it was a month before physically graduating, I called down to just like, say, hey, I'm going to be home on such and such day, blah, 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 blah. And I remember the guy was just like, yeah, good timing on the call, bad timing on getting a job. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, we just got notice yesterday. They're closing the department down in 2 weeks.
Me too.
We're all scrambling. And I was like, are you kidding me? And he was like, because I was excited to work for DuPont for 20 years and get a pension and or whatever came with it, and then do my comics on the side and everything. I was totally excited for that. And nope, didn't happen. And then went to this other place called Lions Incorporated. It was a huge firm, nationally, definitely. For freelance work, same thing. They were like, you haven't really heard, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it was just a huge amount of change going on in the world. That, I guess 92, we were entering some kind of something or other. But, it was quite shocking. So I got fast into being a freelancer. And freelancer meant anything. I did portraits, I did graphic design, I did teaching, I did, and then waited tables.
Yeah.
That's what my life was. And
Yeah.
I had a great time,
Yeah,
you know?
I have a very similar story that when I think it was 89, I was finishing a 2-year degree in art and advertising design. Actually, let's take it back 2 years. I graduated 85 high school, and I go into CUNY, which is the City University of New York system. A once great system that by the 80s was, basically community college. Except for like Hunter, there's a couple of good schools there, but it's basically community college. So I was pursuing a 2-year degree, a 2-year associate's degree, and because I didn't no idea what my next step was, and I was just like, oh no. So I uh, I I was like, well, I kind of like graffiti. I like graffiti and comics, and I looked at the list of CUNY schools, and there's Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, there was New York City Technical College, which had a program called graphics. So I was like, all right, I'll sign up for graphics. Like my dad said, he'll pay the tuition for any CUNY school, and I was just going to commute there and back every day on the train. So I signed up for graphics, not understanding one thing about it. I checked the box and I filled out my application. I didn't visit the school. There was no internet back there, so I didn't like look it up. I didn't get a brochure. I didn't talk to anybody. I just like, well, it's graphics. I mean, that's what I do, right? It's like lettering and art and everything. And so I get there and I had a year of graphics, and so it turns out like it's really all about the whole industry from typesetting to paper production, paper ordering. There was so much like that had to do with paper. I couldn't believe it. Like ordering paper, making paper, the art of paper, the craft of paper. So and I'm taking this first year out of 2 years, and I finished all of my courses and everything, and then they say, oh, we're guess what? You're gonna have to switch your major next year because we're getting rid of the program. And I saw them wheeling out all the machines, like all the phototypositors and
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
like drafting tables, and they were just like literally wheeling them out to like a fucking flea market like job lot truck. And I was like, well, what do you mean? I already have a year in this program. how can you end a program without phasing it out so that the people get their degree? And they were like, sorry, you're shit out of luck. So they say that the next nearest thing is you can switch to art and advertising design. But I ended up spending 3 years in a 2-year college, Kurt, because of the fucking incompetence and the fact that
Well,
these.
it is completely reflective of what we're dealing with right now, which is, and it just goes back to my prior statement about trade. You know what I mean? Like trade work. If it can get altered even more by advanced technology, AI, um, it is going to be super challenging to maneuver in this transitional period of time. Um, computers were definitely at the forefront of fucking everything up. There were just people out there that could get, a row of Mac 10. What are they? Mac like 92 would have been Mac 2 or something, or what was that one, that colorful?
Well, they had all of the pizza box Macs out. I mean, no, well, if we're talking when I was doing this, it was the Apple Mac with the little floppy disk.
Right, 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 right. But if you got five of those, if not 10
Macintosh.
of them, and you had a sales rep out there going after everything under the sun, and that shit was cheaper and faster, it just made certain. I mean, with DuPont, that was the first sign of their collapse as a corporation. That nothing is etched in stone. I think that's one of the most difficult things for us as human beings, to accept is, like I said, I was super excited to get a job for DuPont. My dad had a job for DuPont, brought up, his family, three kids and a house and everything. And, I had a similar sense of trajectory.
They were the big regional employer.
Yeah, well, we also had Hercules, and then later AstraZeneca. So this was a hot spot. The biggest thing all my friends from high school went and did was they MB&A opened up their headquarters down in Newark, Delaware, and when I mean headquarters, they bought like a farm, like
Yeah.
700 acres or something down there, and on like a quarter of it built this huge processing plant for credit cards and all that kind of stuff. Every single person, I still run into people, and at that time they were giving money away with the jobs, and all of them started buying condos down there in Glasgow, Newark area and stuff like that. Like I was, going from college house parties at the University of Delaware when I was visiting my friends, what little I had from high school, to hanging out with them at dinner parties at condos by 94. So the banking and credit card industry basically came swooping in, and saved a bunch of these
Yeah,
people.
I remember visiting you once, and this was much later on, but it was like, yeah, we're all gonna meet at like a strip mall, and there's a restaurant there. And it was the suburbanization, I guess. But everybody was like young urban professionals, having a bite and a drink and hanging out and everything. And I think we were both kind of like day job guys that were also trying to be creatives on the side.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there was like this little subculture, but you still had like a regular friend group and regular girlfriend and everything.
But it's the same thing. Once again, somebody recently asked me if I was making a full time living as no. Somebody asked my wife. I just finished a pretty large commission, a private commission for somebody, and comic book related and everything. She was just so proud of it, and in awe. She wanted to share it with everybody. And this person dead center said, like, does he make a living at it? And she was confidently saying yes, but not just doing this. Like he does 5, 6 things. Most of the time she's like, I can't keep track of everything he's doing, but the money's rolling in, and that's from what I had experienced in '92. Like I said, by not getting a job with a major corporation, agencies drying up on high paying contract work. And in Delaware, I'm sure if I went to DC or New York, it'd be a whole nother game. But I was not interested in big city living, and but I navigated it. But I've never been a full time make art this. Like I've never been, and I've never wanted to be too. I
Yeah.
have never wanted to just sit down and make comic books day in and day out. I have been in art creative jobs day in and day out and quit to just go wait on tables for a couple months because it's god awful to me. It's god awful and unrewarding pay wise and what it is that you're making, but I was grinding it out and paying my bills and you know you know whatever, but it was not some fantasy come true, which is I think one of the biggest things in this world day and age that people got to fucking suck up and just and understand that work is work. Like if you're going to come and if you want to make something like a comic book or paintings, art and sell them in galleries and stuff, it's a job. You just got to work for yourself with other people. There's just no getting out of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
And if you are in a situation and somebody's basically bankrolling you, 9 times out of 10, they're stealing you blind. And by the end of that little journey, you're going to be sitting there with your 35 cents worth of value, and someone's going to be flying off to their Bermuda island with $35 million that they made off of your back. And I know people that have been in that situation.
yeah.
I
Well,
know people who've been in that situation.
most of the jobs in today's economy are working for rich people. That's just the way it is. That's the
Well, you're
way.
working for corporations. You're working for people who actually, just run businesses. That's
Right.
what they
The
do. That's
corporation is
what it
a
is.
board of directors and stakeholders and investors, and they have a bottom line. And 1 minute they're hiring, and the next minute they're firing, and it all depends on the stock market and what they want to do for company value. Do they actually have a product? Are they actually like doing sales? Like a lot of those things are immaterial. It's just like when we were like just entering kind of like the creative profession, right? We had been kids, and we were trained on art and everything, and then this big internet bubble comes along. We were working for companies that weren't real. They were just like speculative investment companies. I never made more money in my life than when I was making flash cartoons for a company that was planning to go IPO, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
thought they were going to have my cartoon and some other cartoons, as an example of a proof case, that they were going to like sell like hundreds of thousands of shares on the stock market and go become the next Yahoo. And there was dozens, if not hundreds, of these people trying to get off the ground all at the same time because they knew time was of the essence. And they probably lost millions, but it was a gamble where you could have been the next Yahoo or the next pets.com or whatever. And so we had all this sugar rush money going around, and it kind of sent us the wrong message. Where if you work hard and you keep your nose to the grindstone, and you keep producing as an artist, and you make a track record, it's completely different now. Now it's like, all right, the internet has been well established for decades. There's a lot of creatives on there doing a lot of things and finding their audience, but there's for everyone that's making a living, there's thousands that are waiting tables, or whatever, you know, and yet, the art forms still persist because we have to do this. Otherwise, we're going to lose our mind. You can't be just a nameless, faceless worker in a corporate factory, and just pay your bills and live your whole life and just die and be in a grave, and that was your story. So we have people going out and doing cosplay. We have people going out and maybe they're in a off Broadway theater troupe, and they're not making any money, and they're just doing it for the love and getting the practice. And then for a lot of people, the talent turns into recognition, and for a lot of people, it's just your hobby that you keep close to your heart. And I think we're somewhere in between now, getting older and facing retirement, because retirement is a time to do your hobby, right? Retirement is, if you don't have to worry about paying the bills, or maybe you're making some money, but you don't have to make your whole nut. You're getting like a pension, or maybe you have some royalties that are coming in. If you're an established name and you've been putting comics out for 20 years, hopefully you get to the place where those comics are still in print somewhere and they're still, giving you a royalty, or you're still printing copies and selling them, or you're doing the rights, or you're doing an option deal, or you're doing all kinds of other stuff, but everybody's got to find their way. And what's different now is that we're in this gig economy, and you don't even have the safety and security of a corporate job. It's like the corporations have figured out, we don't need to hire these guys at all. We don't need to give them health care. We don't need to give them, we don't even need to give them an office, like, we're fine if they're working from home and we're exploiting them from home. That saves us money, right? So you have all that going on. But
So I just sent the link out to Mr. Matt King. I think he's probably listening, but I figure it's time we bring the man in himself.
yeah,
And
if he's ready, jump in.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I just sent the link, so he's got I don't know how set up he is and everything, but I'll be right back. I just got to jump out one more.
Yep, no problem. I'm trying to read the YouTube comments, if there are any, but YouTube isn't loading for me. I don't know if the app is down or something weird's going on. Usually it loads in 2 seconds, even though I'm live streaming on my laptop here. So we have fiber optic in my house, so it shouldn't be a problem. And we've always juggled all these things at once before. But yeah, just to finish the story, when I had 1 year of graphics at this CUNY school, and then I switched over to art and advertising design. Had 2 years of that, and when they were just saying goodbye to us in the last day of school in June, and we were just trained now in like advertising design, graphic design, typography, photography. We had all just taken classes like that. They said, "Oh, there's one more thing we want to show you. We just got our hands on this like the other day, and we were playing around with it in the office." And all the graduating class, which was probably like maybe 40 young people there, we were just graduating this 2 year college. They wheeled in a computer. They wheeled in like an Apple computer, and this was like just the Mac, the first Mac. And they were like, everything that you just learned is pretty much on the way out, if not already moot. And this is why, because right now we're entering a digital revolution. All the stuff, that you learn how to do with like paste ups and photo typositors, it's all just going to be, a function of hitting the print button in the future. And sure enough, it was. So I said to myself in that moment, how do I get my hands on one of those Macs? And because they were selling for about $3,500, I think. And they had a floppy disk drive, and they had 1 mega RAM. And if you wanted to buy like an extra chip that had like 514K of RAM to upgrade the RAM, it was like $1,500. And
Right. All right, I'm
so
gonna let Matt in.
okay. So I eventually did get my hands on a Mac.
There he is.
Hey, there he is.
Matt the King.
Rock and roll, baby.
Are you horizontal, baby?
Oh, yeah. What's going on, guys?
Wow.
Good to have you.
We are we're just in the middle of our
Don't
13th
tell me you're
annual.
lettering.
Yeah, well, we're
Guy,
lettering, but
guy, hire a letterer for $20 a page and get it over with.
yeah, but then I would have to redo it all. So
For like the fourth time.
guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. Yeah, but we have a much better system for next time. But this time we're still. I'm right now. I'm looking at Kurt's hand lettering, and uh, and I'm just kind of like tweaking it so it fits on baselines and stuff.
Can I do a real quick lightning round Q&A with you?
Yeah, of course.
It would probably make a good clip for the socials.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'll ask you these questions and we'll get very precise, succinct answers without expounding on a lot.
Right.
Go luck.
Doom Mags number 1. What's the status?
Well, we're just about to put out the next 6 pages of Turbo number 1, which is pages 13 to 18, and it's going to appear in Doom Magazine's number 1, which is going to be an anthology featuring an 11-pager by Alex Turbin and a 6-pager by Ken Landgraf, plus about another 6 pages of other Doom Mags material.
Great. And when are we expecting that?
As soon as I finish what I'm working on here, I'm lettering the Turbo 6-pager, and the other 2 stories are already lettered, and then we just have to do those zine pages and the inside covers.
Will we have it in time for IC3 in September?
Yes.
Yes.
Right on. Okay. So that'll bring us up to page 18 for Turbo Pit Fighter number 1. What's the status on that?
Well, Turbo Pit Fighter number 2 has 25 pages already penciled.
Wait a second.
Get back up.
Issue number 1.
Yeah, the Kurt is doing his 80%. Well, Kurt, you answer.
Okay. I am about a month away from having the last page of Zing.
Fantastic.
So then Jake's got then 10 pages the letter there, which he would then pick up as soon as we're in I guess like pre-release mode, because we're gonna get a bunch of printers to do copies of Doom Mag so we can kind of test out and find the one that most represents our vision. So that could be like a month or something of just going through that. But while we're going through that process and then prepping for a release, however that's going to be shaped, we'll be right back into Turbo Pit Fighter number 1.
Great. And Turbo Pit Fighter number 2 is well underway?
Oh, yeah. Just like Jake's
pages.
25 pages in. I mean, by the
25
time
pages, pencils.
yeah. By the time he's doing the last pencil pages, I'll probably just be getting the first like 6 pages inked. Because that's usually what, kind of like transpires, is that he'll do, well, I guess would that be, you said 32 pages, Jake?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so at 25, 32, at 7. Yeah, I mean, I could be, we're good. I mean, we'll probably have even maybe teaser pages in just our fun little teaser. We might have the first 12 pages in one of these for IC3.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, one of the lessons that we learned from making Doom magazines is that it is a very time-consuming side detour. Even though we have other artists doing the inks and we hire Ken and all that, it's still like I think we're going to try to concentrate more on just our flagship and getting Turbo number 1 out, and then getting number 2 right behind it, and stuff like that, because it's just like we're just working one day a week, literally.
3 hours a
Well,
week.
but I get all sorts of Substack notifications that Jake is working all the time on this stuff. No,
Well, I'm working on a lot of different things. We have our set time for working on Turbo.
of course.
And then I've already started penciling Casualties #1, and
Jake's on Substack.
right, and I also showed Kurt just last week. I did a 9-pager in pencils for one of his Croms. So so when I'm upstairs, like during the week, and I'm not doing my work or I'm not watching a Knicks game, I'm busily doing other stuff. I'm planning, solo comics for Hellclaw and the Casualty and all that. I don't know when it's ever going to happen, but I'm making pages, and we'll see. If we can get some more collabs going. If we can like maybe assign some of these series to other people and get some production. But the ideas are coming, and I feel very like what's the word, fruitful, or very
Productive.
productive, yeah. So and Kurt encourages me, like, get it all down on paper, stick it up online. If it's just prose for now, that's fine. And we have two.
What I don't talk about enough, and I mentioned maybe 3 times, and we're coming up on our 4th year in April,
Oh
is
boy.
I do have like some fearful-ish anxiety about Jake not having a job anymore and having all the time in the world for the amount of like ideas that not only he can generate but leads. Jake doesn't get enough, in my opinion, editor time, and that obviously is time. And in indie comics, I was just listening to Alex Turbin yesterday. He was going through a comic, I'm trying to remember, and he was like, talking to himself, but asking the question out there is like, are there editors in indie comics? Like, do people stop, and put that in? And so where Jake's at right now is like onefold, bringing the editorship to the book. I mean, in my opinion, my feeling, it's going to be 100% like level at what our vision has been from the beginning. But then on the other side, my encouragement for him to be like, yeah, like, kick around those ideas, get them on paper, put them up on Substack, talk about it and stuff. Because then when he's not teaching, and he's retired, then he already has that as the flow state, and he doesn't have to kind of like maybe rely on me as much as getting things done as we first started out as.
Right.
Yeah, I'm finishing my 18. I what, three more months of school. We have April, May, June. So we have. I'm just about to finish my 18th year. Like how time flies, it's insane. But
You have to do 21 years or
no, you guys,
22.
you can stop after your 20th. But the weird thing with me is you can't actually get your retirement checks until you turn 62. So
Oh.
so so that's why people either keep on working, or you can like buy back some time or something. I don't know. There's some all kinds of weird like options, but
And you're gonna be 60 this year or next year?
in December,
In December this year, right?
yeah, old man.
Well, it sounds like, Jake, you have a ton of ideas that you're not going to be able to draw all of them. So maybe plunder Kurt's community and get some other stuff done.
Yeah, I mean, it's not people that love barbarians first. It's looking for sci-fi, but definitely have my shingle out there, and we have. I did get one 6-pager drawn and inked by a collaborator, and that's going to be in Do Magazine's #2.
That he
Um,
met at IC3 last year.
right, yeah, and a younger up and comer.
That's
But
great.
yeah, I have another 6-pager sitting there right now, and making a script is like the shortest thing for me. Like if you have an idea and you're just doing it like Stan and Jack Kirby style. For me, typing out a script nowadays is like it's really like, I need like maybe a week to do that. So, the question
It takes me forever.
well, I'm a writer. I've been writing, for many years. I'm a published writer.
Right.
I've been an education reporter, articles,
Yeah. Well,
editing.
I guess I could shingle a lot faster than you though, so we'll see.
um,
A lot.
yeah, right. Yeah, no, with the handiwork, yeah, I know. I just sent my car to the mechanic the other day because I'm dropping oil somewhere, and I'm like, I feel like I'm this lily livered helpless guy. Oh, where's it coming from? Oh no! And I'm like, oh no, I gotta go to the mechanic. I don't want to wear my Dockers because he's gonna size me up.
Well, I have to say, talking to you guys is very inspirational because as productive as you guys are, I'm on the other end of the spectrum right now. I'm just spinning my wheels, getting nothing done, feeling really low about everything. So
Now, what do you mean feeling
I needed
low?
to talk to some comics makers today.
Here
Yeah,
we
what do you
go.
mean feeling low?
What's that?
What do you mean by feeling low?
I just feel like just like nothing's getting done. I don't know.
You're not getting anything done.
Yeah.
Do you need to call one
Like
eight hundred Hope?
no, not quite yet, but he's on speed dial.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're hung up in the middle of books, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so I wrote a couple scripts. I wrote the one script for a collaborator of mine from the second volume of Tales to Enlighten that I met at Boston Comic Con a decade ago. Um, and he just didn't have the self confidence in himself, and and admittedly, these are his words that he was unable to focus, and he's very scatterbrained. His words, not mine.
Yeah.
So then I brought it. So he said no. So I couldn't woo him over, which I was surprised at. But so
Yeah.
I brought it to another guy, and he wanted to be in on it. So the second IC3, I brought the second script to this artist, and then just like last week, it's like obviously it's not getting done. So I guess I'm gonna have to start looking around for other artists or some. I'm gonna have to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of stopped, but I was trolling the Facebook group connecting artists and writers, and the Reddit
Yeah,
group, which I call like collabs or something. And there's a lot of wheat in the chaff, or what's the expression? There's a lot of like, you're scrolling, and then there are some talented people in there. So, the question is like, can you get a bargain deal if they live in Brazil or Colombia or whatever?
right.
Can you get them to do it for a partnership deal? Can like all these other things? Or are you looking at like, the going rate, prevailing rate, like, for, American people with expenses, it's got to be 100 to $150 a page, if not more. But there's always that's always the tension in comics. Like someone's going to get those artists, they're going to settle in around that price range, and what are they going to be working on? And
Right.
it's kind of
Part of the problem is mine is like a huge. You thought Tales to Enlighten was an epic. This is even more so. This is like a 21 issue series.
what.
Yeah, like it's broken up into three like 7 issue like three arcs. The first arc would be so I as we move on, we change art styles and production stuff, and it's like it's I feel like it's really going to be some kind of crazy epic. Uh,
Yeah.
I have to, have to find somebody first. It's not like
Yeah.
so every artist. So for instance, we start off like black and white power comic style, a lot of ink.
Yeah.
But like later on in the series is an issue that's like watercolors. You know what I mean? So I have to have a very versatile artist who's like comfortable with all that stuff.
Does it have to be the same person?
Not necessarily, I guess, but that was the idea.
have you just spitballing? But have you ever
Hmm.
considered going to a con overseas?
No,
No,
What?
no.
it's well, that's whoever went to the Philippines like in the late '60s, early '70s for Marvel came
Yeah,
back with a jackpot, and
right.
that it could be the case that you just have to meet these people in person, because there's so many like filters on the internet now. Like who knows who is massaging everything we get to see and don't see, right?
So I was reading this morning. Speaking of Philippine artists,
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Try.
these these are just incredible. This is
Yes.
the same guy who Jesse Santos, who drew the occult files of Dr. Spectre. But
Yeah.
this art is so cool,
Is
man.
that Gold Key?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, those are undiscovered gems, man. Those are
written by Don Glut,
yeah, you could still and
who
you can still get those for a buck a lot of places.
I met Don at Terrificon a couple of years ago and had him sign a couple issues of Doctor Spectre for me,
Yeah.
and an issue of the Invaders where the Invaders meet Frankenstein.
Oh, right, right. That's good. Yeah,
Yeah, I
Don
mean
Cooper
he
was
was
like,
a nice guy.
yeah,
He's still working. You know there's a magazine called Eerie, but not spelled Eerie, spelled like Eyere or something. It's
yeah,
like a knockoff, a Warren magazine knockoff, and he still writes for that stuff.
good. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
that
it's
name.
fantastic.
I think he was doing animation, right? He was in the
I'm not sure what he ended up doing.
yeah.
You moving these letters a micro millimeter every, it's breaking my heart, dude.
Um,
It's like,
it
oh, let me just move this 1 pixel. Let me move this 1 pixel width over. Oh, that's too far. Let me move it back.
well, the new system is going to be just
Ugh, look at you moving it like that.
yeah
Torture.
to to
It's
to get it on the baseline. Oh, it's torture.
Get it done.
You don't know
Dude,
it
this.
does
nobody's gonna see if it's like a pixel width this way or that way.
Oh, absolutely true, but it's subliminal.
It's subliminal.
Yes, it's like, hey, the things that you don't notice is that all the letters in that comic were really like on the baseline.
Right. You're on the baseline.
You're right. I was just gonna say.
Um, yeah, guilty as charged. All right, so just for you, I'm zoomed out and I'm doing this at a much more zoomed out. Yeah, so this is
So
the
I've
third.
talked to a couple artists who draw digitally on their iPads and stuff, and one of their biggest they acknowledge it, that it's so easy to keep going, like zooming in and working on the details, but when they zoom back out for print, all those details are lost.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you need a friend to tell you this every once in a while.
Here I am.
To take the car
Here I
keys.
am, guys.
Give me the car keys. Um, but but all of this work, it does go in, like, there's this like part of the storyline here where people don't realize that when you look at something, you're actually able to see it in much higher res than your brain processes it, and your memory can actually hold things because we're just not accessing this part of our brain. So I'm telling myself that all of this extra work is it's not for naught. It's going into people's brains subliminally, and they're just going to, have this, you know, feeling about Turbo Pit Fighter, where they don't really realize what it is about the comic that's keeping them coming back for more. But it's the fact
It's
that
like
letters are
what is it with the Asian food, like umami or something? It's the umami of comics,
edamame.
not edamame.
The umami.
Umami.
um, Yeah. So yeah, and I know I have your voice sometimes in the back of my head when I get too
Not enough.
particular. But one of my creative idols is the guy in Pink Floyd The Wall that
Hmm.
stayed in his hotel room building castles out of toothpicks. And I think sometimes I descend into that.
Sounds like a healthy role model.
Yeah. Mother, do you think they'll drop the ball? Yeah, no. So we we have been so we've been so like waylaid by our lettering trial and error. You know, we're going to come out stronger with a font that is going to be just it's going to be curt, that I'm going to be typing out, and I'm going to be happy that it's not a computer generated font, because we're basically going to have like five versions of every letter, so that we'll just keep replacing them out and everything. And like you say, it's not even something that the average person would notice.
Yeah, I love the idea of a font with multiple, versions of each letter, so it doesn't, every M doesn't look exactly the same. I mean, that's the way
Yeah,
to do it, for sure.
that's why I encourage.
That's happening.
I am absolutely against typed font uh, um, lettering. I just don't find it. I mean, one of the things, like, Jake and I balance each other out, I think, in a lot of ways. But I think one of the things that we always have to kind of check in with one another is, I'm I'm down and dirty. Like, I am good at, like, just handwriting it out and then just, overlaying it in Photoshop and tweaking it a little bit. But Jake is taking extra, length of diligence to hammer out, let's say, soften edges. Let's just say soften edges. If there was any concern, like, from my side, just my side, is that we look too polished. Like, that would be something that I would be disappointed in, is that, his polishing might just take the edges off too many places and stuff. But, I control, with the inking, obviously a greater sense of the visual that way. But he still has that first and last input to then have it, be brought together. So yeah, the Turbo One, I think, is just going to really be mind blowing for both Jake and I, in what both of us have been able to complete together, in the negotiation of said making a comic book. My if in front of Jake, I have confidently enough to say, my only criticism of him is he's, in my opinion, not indie enough. Like, he's not in a place at times where he's just like, that's what it is. Let's just keep, moving. He has to have that sense of, like, his sense of completion on that. And I completely respect it. And I think
Says the guy that made you do the cover over twice.
once, you only had to do it over once. But yeah, no, but that was one point where you did just kind of like mailed it in. You know what I mean? And I think, and it was just because I know you were totally overwhelmed. Because you were downtrodden on the lettering, and we were now not doing the font as much as we were. You know what I mean? Like, so, there needs to be something being said. But to back to you, Matt. Like, I'm going to constantly keep saying, like, you could be doing what Jake and I are doing, in the sense of, like, running your own podcast, in having people wanting to come in and be the other side visually for you, and you playing out loud, like, direction, like a director. Um, but also doing the amazing, like, marketing stuff that you do for Power Pulp Comics too. I mean, you're like, I don't know, 2 baby steps away from falling off that cliff, in my opinion. I just know that
What do you mean falling off the cliff? Tell me more.
you just got to pull the trigger. You just got to go and set up a damn, free. I mean, you can. I mean, I was on Alex Turbin's podcast a couple Wednesdays ago, and other than him not being able to get the full screen, which is just an orientation shift, and it might be his phone because we did do some tech talk afterwards. I mean, he just calls you on the phone, and then you just press, "Yeah, I'm here," and the next thing you know, you're making a fucking
right. No, I did 2 weeks with him before you did.
Yeah, you're the first. Yeah, you were the first.
And that's on YouTube.
Yeah. It's his new thing. He's got Steve McCardle next week. I think is next Wednesday or this Wednesday coming. He said Steve McCardle coming on, which I was like, dude, those are the two powerhouse boys that were pulled out of the basements and attics of the Northeast of America to rekindle the flame.
Well, 100% was my idea, was to totally take your blueprint here of writing and artist on, sharing a screen, doing a podcast. The only way I was going to do it differently, instead of doing it live, is I was going to get together with the artist for an hour every week, and we'll talk, while he's working or whatever, talk. But I was going to take his footage of whatever that week and like time lapse it, so our conversation would be over a time lapse of him drawing. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. Yeah, I think it's much more watchable, and it's much more hypnotic, and
Right.
and the amount of people that are going to listen to your whole dialogue from beginning to end. It's not that many, if any. So you might.
I appreciate you guys, but Kurt knows I listen to you guys on 1.5 speed because it's just too much. It's 3 hours is too much for me.
Too much for me too.
So we're little squirrels. We're like
one and a half isn't bad. As like I didn't know what time you were going to call me up here, so I tuned in at like 10 o'clock, or actually. I was like, what the fuck? Where are these guys? So at 20 past, I looked, and I was like behind for 9 minutes. So I put it at 3x just to catch up. And that was very Alvin-esque.
Trouble seeing YouTube on my phone right now. I'm just seeing if there's any live.
Be careful because we're pumping 3 of us through and everything.
Let me ask: Am I 8-bit resolution still, or what? What's the deal? Because I'm perfect on the screen that I'm looking at. Perfect.
Yeah, you should be all right because your side of the camera, what we're seeing is a low bit rate most of the time. But it's only because it's collecting high res to then be able to put on YouTube. And so technologically with modems and Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff, it's pretty stellar. Excuse me.
I feel like my internet connection is 2 tin cans with a string or something. I don't understand why.
It does feel that way. I was just reading something about how to like have the perfect podcast. It was like 2 or 3 articles I read last week. All of them had one little sentence jammed in the middle of it, which said, have yourself, what was it? What's a hard lined in?
Fiber optic.
The
coaxial?
Huh?
Fiber
coaxial?
Yeah, no. It's a cable, like
coaxial?
No, networking cable, Cat5 cable he's talking about.
Yeah, it's just I was doing it when we first started, and I would run it, but I had to run it all the way down I'm on the 2nd floor and I'm above the modem, and I still had to.
Yeah, that's always better. But but you can't do that if you're in a different room from your modem.
Yeah, but when you're hard lined in, you're not experiencing any kind of issues because the stability of it.
Well, that's
my other thing is I'm in a condo association, so I have all these neighbors, which I'm probably driving up a freaking wall, yelling and like this guy every Sunday at 10 o'clock talking about stupid ass comics.
He's a podcast all-star.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the networking, the bottleneck when it's troublesome, it isn't between you and your modem. It's the problem when there's a bottleneck is, there's too many people in your neighborhood doing too many things at once.
On a
Gaming,
Sunday.
live streaming,
Who would have guessed everybody would be on the internet on a Sunday?
right? And
So does my picture look like garbage? Yeah.
well,
A little bit, a
we're
little
just
bit,
seeing
but you
real
should
time
be fine.
previews.
You should be fine for YouTube.
We don't
when
really know
everything comes
until the final thing gets posted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because here on Riverside, it's clear as a bell.
Good. That's what we want to hear. Because that means you're getting solid recording.
Okay.
So don't you worry.
Great. So you guys getting excited for September or what?
Well, I hope that we get accepted. I mean, we're on pins and needles here.
I don't think they've sent out any letters accepting anybody yet.
No, I don't expect that yet. And I'm going no matter what. I don't give a shit. There's no me not going, oh, they didn't give me a table. I have everything in the back. Because I mean, Jake and I had 2 tables next to us in the same, in that same room.
I remember.
No shows. So I'm not worried about it, But I just my biggest criticism for the show is not having enough time to talk to everybody. I want to talk, and I don't mean like just like like I'm Ken Landgraf and he actually approached me. He says I want to spend more time with you guys. That meant Jake and I. You know what I mean? Like that. I was like, hey, look, we'll get you a schedule. And we'll put, his wife was there. I said, we'll make up a schedule. We'll have you shifting tables every 20 minutes, or anything. He was laughing.
Right.
But I do. I want to sit there with Ken Landgraf and draw for an hour,
great.
I can just shoot the shit,
Mm-hmm.
You, McCardle, Adam Lemna, I mean, it's just, there's just
Adam Lemna.
People. Huh?
Adam Lemna.
Yeah,
Yeah, I sent him some money for Relic Hunter 2, but he never sent it. So he's on my
God, are you
list.
kidding me?
No, guy.
Did you talk to him?
I talked to him 2 weeks in, and then he never sent it. So I don't know. So I guess I'm going to just publicly badmouth him here on this station.
Well, Kurt, you got your copy, right?
Yeah, I ordered 3. So if you want me to send you a copy, Matt, I'll send you
Matt, it sounds like you fell through the cracks. He's probably got your order sitting on the bottom of a paper blob or something.
Could be.
Yeah. I have a couple of paper blobs here. All these pads that are piling up and in the way of everything.
Kurt, can I ask you about the masking fluid you're using?
Yeah, sure.
So I follow this guy. He does these watercolor. He pencils it or inks it, and then he watercolors it. His account on Instagram is Beach Ghost. Beautiful stuff. He did a pinup for me in I think the first book. But he was like taping it off, like masking tape. And I said my buddy does like this liquid graphite thing, so he uses a pen, and it goes, oh, that's really expensive. Is that true?
Look at this.
No.
Yeah, that's him.
Kurt, look at this guy.
Yeah.
Very
yeah.
cool.
Oh, yeah. That shit's fly. Yeah. No. I mean, what I do, I just ordered enough. Like the pens. The pens are $9. The triggering mechanism is what you got to watch. The spring getting gooped up too much and drying. So if you don't really use these things, that's why I waited till all these 10 pages were done, because then I could just really execute on it. Then I buy for $10, and I still haven't gone through all of this. I still probably got about two more fills in
Jake,
there.
if you scroll down a little more, you were at one where he was going to use the masking tape there.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, just in case you wanted to see it. It was like a video of him actually doing
those
the process.
colors. Those colors are sweet.
Yeah, it's an incredible palette of colors. And is this all drawn on watercolor paper, or you don't know?
I'm not really sure.
Most
Maybe
definitely.
go back up a little. I think you just missed it.
Most definitely.
Click back in.
What's
it's like a video.
What is it? Beach what?
Beach Ghost.
Beach Ghost.
Beach Ghost?
Beach Ghost _ yeah. Really nice stuff.
Yeah,
Super
I don't
detailed.
know.
Yeah, look at this. I mean, just
But
go.
like he literally, puts the tape down on the paper. I just thought it would be a lot easier for the pen.
And is any of this stuff? What is this all? Is this all pinups, or is there any sequential stuff here?
No, I think it's all pinups. I don't think he does any sequentials that I've seen. It's all
Right.
illustration.
All right.
Pretty
So
neat though.
that's a definite find right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice
yeah,
guy.
yeah. He's definitely He's using He's using drafting tape,
Right.
and that. I mean, that's cool too. But I have a
It's.
very heavy hand, and
Mm-hmm.
so I have a greater. Uh, I always will cut into the paper, and then with some papers because they're pressed lightly, um, the paper will start actually curling. Like once you start putting wet and it dries,
Mm-hmm.
it'll start curling up at those edges and stuff. So, and then if you want to talk about something that's really expensive in the arts, is X-Acto blades. You know,
Right.
so I mean you're not when it comes to physically making art, well, even digitally too. I don't think you're escaping the cost in any way.
Right. I did a bunch of stencil spray paint stuff and collage, so I bought a bunch of X-Acto blades, and they don't last
I
long.
still have. I had a box of 1,000 I bought back in high school.
They,
I'm still
I
tight.
ripped through. I
I need
ripped
to get.
through them.
I have to get a tetanus shot every 2 years just to make sure because I keep poking myself with the damn.
Nice.
I heard Kurt was using up so much of that masking fluid that he set up a little wrist shooter like Spidey.
Web fluid.
Yeah, but a lot of people that put comments on our YouTube, they're like, "What the hell is he doing? What is that
Yeah,
stuff?"
what's that blue pen?
How many pages can you get out of a pen? It looked like a lot of blue on that page.
Two
Yeah.
pages. So that's. I mean, like I said, that's it's pretty damn good. I mean, and the effect that I get every time I erase. I always erase in the morning of.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get this any other way. I mean, some of this stuff is just, and to be honest with you, I think it even beats in the feeling of what I would try to get out of the duo shade paper, which is $75 a piece. It's 11 by 17, right? Or
What
7 by 11 by 14.
paper for
But
70?
it just does exactly what I need it to do in that gray, that mid range layer, but also giving me effects. Like this just up here is so
So
goddamn cool.
they don't make that duo shade paper anymore, do they?
There's like I can't remember. I think the last time I heard was on kayfabe, and it might have been Ed said he found a place in Japan, and it was $75 a page, and I think they were only like 11 by 14
Right,
pages.
which means that as soon as he said that, they were sold out. So you might as
Oh,
well not even bother.
yeah,
So,
Do you, do
yeah,
you
they were.
guys do you guys know Brad Dwyer?
Yeah,
So he does that Eight Men of the Apocalypse book. He's got a stack of those duo shade, the paper and the applicator and stuff that he uses here and there, but sparingly.
yeah. I would do it. I would do it sort of like by a panel, like even
Mm.
maybe one of the panels, like this panel, for instance, I would just try to transfer it and then do, that. But that page, that sheet, I would try to do like five or six panels that then would get cut out and then placed into, throughout the story. Like
Right, I get you.
that's the way I would go about doing it,
Right.
economically speaking. But it ain't gonna happen.
ask you, Matt, about what's your opinion when you open up? I mean, because we all love our black and white indie comics. But
Hmm.
what's your opinion when you open up a comic and it's got very very heavy grayscale on every page spread? Do you have like this thing that I get sometimes where sometimes I feel like it's starting to muddy out a little bit with too much like midtones, grays on a spread?
Yeah. So like Faust, when the first run of Faust was very black and white, no gray tones and stuff, you know. But as he went on, he started adding the gray tones,
Yeah.
and those last Avatar issues are like so muddy with gray tones. It's too much, you know.
Right, it can be a thing, and some of those like adventure comics and what do we have? Those Battle Axe comics that we were looking at. You know, some of those pages were on the verge of being a little bit overly mid-toned, I think. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
I keep thinking like, you know, you want dynamism and you want like, you know, this good balance or interplay of, you know, black,
Right.
white, and gray. And when the grays are like, you know, 30% gray, 40% gray, 50% gray, number one, they always print darker, right? And so it's hard to control them. And number two, you know, they can kind of like take over a page because you know you're not looking at the forest from the trees, you're looking at the panel that you're in, and you're like, oh, this guy, you know, this is a sword, I need to make a metal effect, I need to do this. But then when you look at it from the standpoint of like, you know, turning the page and then your eyes seeing a double page spread, that's when it could really hit you. Like, there's just a lot of gray on this. I think some of the Ninja Turtle books like had that feel too. Like
Mm.
you know, everything gets ends up being darker than you imagine, and there, you know, there's not enough white on the page probably, and there's probably not enough like light grays on the page, like your 20% tones, right? Like if I would say like maybe a good rule of thumb that you don't have to stick to strictly, but would be, you know, to do your black and white art, and then go in with a 20% gray and go in with a 70% gray, right? And then do your, you know, two sets of like toning there, but then try to avoid those mid values because one thing is that it just creeps up on you when you're not, you know, paying attention how much ends up on
Mm-hmm.
each spread. That's what yeah. So I just wanted to ask you about that.
I
What do you
hear
think?
you. So this epic series I've outlined out is the first 7 issues is very it's supposed to be like indie explosion black and white stuff from the 80s, and
Uh,
it's all like black white. You know, you can have screen tones, but we're not doing like gray tones and stuff.
right.
But issue 5 is like a flashback issues, and that's where I would incorporate all the flashback stuff is would have the gray tones to, you know, kind of distinguish it from the rest.
Yeah, and you're seeing like a kind of like a celebration of all the different styles that go
Oh, yeah.
into, like, you know, the history of comics.
Yep.
Like in if you watch that Spider-Man animated movie, the Spider-Verse, right?
Hmm.
They're just unapologetically putting all different styles together all at one. Yeah, and I like the fact that they're breaking down the wall on that. But you know, on the other hand, you know, every individual person has to find their own style, you know,
Hmm.
and carry it off. So
So Kurt, what do you white painting the word balloons and stuff? Is that what's going on?
No, I don't wait. No, I mean I do some. There is some
turbo
editing
turbo
with the
number
white.
one is like that.
What's
Yeah,
that,
but
Jake?
what were you doing just now with the brush? It looked like you were doing something with
So,
the word balloons.
so there's another medium I use, which is just this is like the official watercolor medium art masking. So this is now just a brush. And so
Okay.
what now the bigger fill, instead of like hand, you know, taking a Sharpie and filling in a whole area black, this will just give a, but because it's a brush, I get these brushy effects. Like you can really see it down in this panel here.
Nice.
You see what I mean? Not
Yeah.
all that light, but then you can see that shadow underneath their feet kind of jumps in. All that is just literally probably about 5 or 6 strokes of this stuff, the liquid mask and by brush. So like,
Man, you guys really like to make this stuff hard for yourselves.
well, you know, hard is one way, but I do this for me. So I
Of
think
course.
one of the biggest problems um, I think people face with my work is the entry point. Like I really do love Savage Sword of Conan, but your work doesn't really look like it. But the thing is that my entire imprinting is in the values of that shitty quality black and white newsprint magazine. So the aesthetic I'm chasing, not the style.
Right.
And I think
Speaking
that's
of,
one of the things. I think that's one of the things that can very much harm books is that they can ape something well enough, but all right, I've seen you do that. Like, who are you then? Like, I want to
hmm
get to know you, Mr. X or Mrs. X, like as an artist, and then get that thing. And what? It's not like there's not happen out there in indie. We're definitely experiencing it. It's just I think it's now getting to the point of like there's too much stuff out there, especially
there's
with
a lot of stuff. Spe-
Power Pole comics.
Speaking of the Conan stuff, I picked this up recently.
Yeah. You showed me that. That is like
I love this issue.
that is like a seminal issue. I mean, that is
It's
like, and
Jim
that's like,
Starlin. I feel like the story has everything in it, that you'd want out of a Conan book.
but you got to think about it this way: is like there were no guardrails, there was no comics code, there was nothing. They realized it, and it was just the excitement between Roy Thomas being able to actually tell pulp stories,
What
you
year?
know. It's magic. It's pure magic on
What year did
on
that
those
come out?
pages.
It's like 70. What is it, Kurt? 74 or something?
Yeah.
74. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm reading the Crumb biography.
Still,
Yeah, well, I'm about 70% done.
let's have another episode about that.
But they profoundly changed the way people looked at free license in comics to say or do whatever you want, and you had all these Marvel people that were chomping at the bit to do something a little more, a little more, or maybe I should say a little less sterilized, like Spider-Man, Captain America, and they could play around like that in the black and white line, right? And they did like some of those savage, what is it, Savage Hands of Kung Fu, they had some
Deadly Hands of Kung Fu.
Deadly Hands, Kurt. I mean, Jake.
yeah,
Come on.
Deadly Hands, yeah. So they had a lot more racy, edgy, gritty storytelling in there. You had the Red Sonja origin issue, which um, I didn't buy it, but I read it like when I was a kid in a
Is that
dog.
Frank Thorne?
What's that?
Was that Frank Thorne?
No, it was, I think, Howie Chaykin.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you'll never see stuff like that in a comic book. So
Well, not in a Marvel.
Not
Book.
Marvel World.
no, but these were Marvel creators and these were Marvel characters, and that's the amazing thing about it. They were in the black and white mags. They were able to do.
But they weren't. But the thing was this is like Red Sonja was invented in the pages of a magazine comic that had no comics code associated to it, and it was deeply steeped in Robert E. Howard's universe of that type of character. So they did not have to deal with anything in the way of like even see this is my biggest criticism of Marvel when Jim Shooter takes over is he forces them, Roy Thomas being the lead of the said pulp era, Conan, Cull, Solomon Kane, he forced them to turn them into heroes that morality wise reached an endpoint for good, and justice. Those pulp characters have nothing to do with that in a way, structure wise, telling an adventurous escapist story. And those magazines gave them that freedom. And there's a huge contrast between pre Jim Shooter and after Jim Shooter getting a hold of Roy Thomas's Conan, which of course he leaves because of that.
So I went to a little show last weekend. This is a good segue into. I love this issue because I had it as a kid, but I bet Kurt probably hates it a
What?
lot.
Which one?
This here. You
What
see
if?
it?
Oh
What
no,
if?
no. I think of those often. I thought they were fun.
Okay,
I thought they were fun.
because that's Jim
That's another.
Shooter.
That's another thing about pulp is that it plays with time. It doesn't force you to stay regimentally inside said zone error and everything. But yeah, when they're pointing the guns at him and he's like,
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's
Isn't it
yeah.
wild that
I just watched Time Barbarians,
I don't know what
1990
that
Time
is.
Barbarians, and that kind of same thing happens.
Barbarian.
And I just love that. Like, 1 minute you're in said place of like medieval terms, and then next you're dealing with the character in said modern terms.
Well,
And you just have a good time in
Yeah.
1990.
in this What If series, in the same volume, because this is issue 13, and then towards the end of the run, they did it again. Remember with the Bill Sienkiewicz cover?
Yes.
So I mean, it's like they did
Gun.
the same idea again.
Yeah.
How about this one?
What'd you pay for those?
Well, that was the What If issue was $2.
Yeah, but a good like Savage Sword of Conan from the 70s, they're running for like $20-$30, right?
Oh, I got this from like my comic shop for I don't know, $10 or something.
That's a good deal.
Yeah. Did you end up getting this, Kurt? This Battlestar Barbarian?
Not yet. It's on. I'm trying to order 3 copies so I can sell 3. I can sell 2 of them in the Crom the Barbarian shop. They were just reordering, so he said check back this week. So,
Yeah, I saw it. He posted a video today that he was doing an unboxing. He's got a whole stack of them.
Good. Okay, I'll reach out to him tomorrow and get my copies.
Yeah, this thing is so fun.
Yeah,
It's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it's off its hinges. It's naughty. It's just, it wants nothing to do with proper niceties or anything like that.
They might be a good guest for
Hell
creator spotlight kind of thing.
Yeah, I was just saying, I saw the Alex Turbin podcast of it, and I did see a lot of Sam Keith influence in there, and they're also doing kind of like the Barbarians meet sci-fi idea. Yeah,
right. Do I see Jamie Barrows has got a new anthology of women barbarian?
Yeah, man, Blood Maidens. I got the back cover to issue 1. I think he's going to give me center spread 14 pages for this old character of mine I did in 2014 called Wench. And they were color pencil pages. And I actually did produce them in a book, which I have copies left that I am going to sell. But this is I'm revisiting this. But this is Conan as a woman.
That looks sick.
There is nothing nice about her at all. She is a vulgar wench, and she's barefoot in the snow.
Dude, that looks awesome.
So this is going to be a 14-pager in that, and I do believe I have the cover for issue 2.
Hell yeah, dude.
So it's Jamie Barrows. We got an 11-pager. We're working on for Crom Anthology. And then, I don't know, have you guys got a copy of Cyberzerker?
I do not.
All right. This is, I understand how he thinks. I appreciate Jamie's sensibility, but I'm printing the first 7 pages of this Cyberzerker in black and white, 8.5 by 11 in Crom Anthology, just because this thing is amazing. But once again, I want it 8.5 by 11. I want it magazine style, full color, and I can understand and appreciate that he's trying to move product at an affordable rate and everything. But great character too. I'll have to
pick that up.
I really want to. He's on my list of like. I want to do a pinup this character. I've been doodling here and there this character, but great, great stuff. Yeah, Jamie Barrows is on the up and up. He
Maybe
is.
get him on the show before the Blood Means drops.
Well, yeah, no, we got Jake and I have two going to be scheduled. We've got.
I just backed that today.
Yep. This is Saboteur.
Yeah, I backed that this morning.
Yeah, freaking amazing! Look at that.
I haven't looked yet.
Holy shit! This is
that's just another. Listen, I mean, I don't want to tell people how to sell their comics, but $5 on Kickstarter is too cheap.
Yeah, it's the business thing, man. You got to wake up. You got to be a business person now. Take one hat off, put the other hat off, and be a dick.
It's an indie comic. People have to expect it's a handmade, limited production kind of thing. You got to expect to pay $10 for a comic. I'm sorry, you do. And so it's like Alex Turbin and his Morgrim thing. $5, and he's sending out statues to everybody. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Nice.
I can't wait to see his accountant tell him how he did.
He's gonna be like, oh, I lost money on that? I can't believe it.
Well, maybe if they put it into the charity column, you can do really well.
Again, you could recoup the cost.
Exactly. You could just write it all off as a giveaway.
Yeah, I don't know how many people know that, but like in taxes, I'm not an accountant. I am just speaking quasi out of my butt about this, but there's two things. If you're doing art, you should track very, very well your journey. And the one thing is that you can get a bunch of money back as a hobby, just paying for stuff to be able to do your hobby, and you list it as that. But if you can also defer on like pieces of equipment, like a computer and a printer and these types of things. So I know it sounds cold-blooded to talk about the reality of finances and business, but you can make out if you track yourself business-wise with and have a decent accountant that understands and appreciates what you're doing.
Yeah,
maybe not even make out, but just minimize the damage that you're doing to yourself.
Yeah. So
but you're making art. It's not like a one and done. Like, it's going to exist, out there, and you should be able to generate more income if you have your own website and you do some decent promotion here or there. You should have the ability to generate, at least money to pay for to keep doing it. Like, that is the ultimate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I would love to do. Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
it's funny when you text me the link to join you. You said I better get my Chuck Norris comics.
There you go, brother. I knew you had them. God rest your soul, sir.
They were right over here.
That's awesome, Matt.
I had to pull down the box real quick. I only have 2 issues though. Issues 1 and 3.
Now I want them all.
I don't know how many there are.
So
I'll never forget watching Enter the Dragon.
Oh man, me neither.
Coliseum, and just being I'm still like blown away by that fight scene, and like there's a lot of like truthful commentary that it was one-on-one. Like Bruce had his ideas, but he was like, nah, and Chuck was like, nah, that's not how we're doing it, because I don't I do Taekwondo. I do high kicks. I'm gonna close that gap fast. You can't just say you're gonna get me that. Oh, okay, dude. The man.
Just
give me more Chuck.
The chest hair in that scene is just crazy.
And the back hair hit on his shoulders.
I was a Sasquatch.
Woo! He was old man, baby. That's all testosterone.
Dude, I remember renting that from the video store the next town over, man, and next to the roller rink, and just bringing that home and watching it like 2 or 3 times over the weekend.
For folks that don't know what we're talking about, the culminating scene of Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee's first blockbuster American movie that's touched off the kung fu craze, featured a young Chuck Norris as the bad guy in the final scene, and Bruce Lee lays into him little by little in like different waves, making kind of like cat-like sounds. Yeah.
God damn! Oh,
Good stuff.
oh, oh. But going back to renting VHSs. Here's an old man moment. Going back in time, you had to pay what you had to pay to rent the movies. Like you get five for $5 or whatever whatever it was. You had this whatever. However, but here's the thing: how many times did you rent a movie if it didn't suck that you didn't watch 3 times in however long you were allowed to have that VHS tape? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, you didn't take it for granted. And so, like, when somebody might be at the age of like internet and see a Chuck Norris movie or even a Bruce Lee movie, they'd be like, oh my God, like this is really whatever, poorly done, or it's not, blah, blah, blah. You gotta understand like what it took to get to the damn VHS, rental shop and to, you know what I mean? Like, and when you had it and you watched it and you were like, I gotta watch that again. And then you had to fight your sister for, her wanting to watch whatever stupid television show, or my dad wanted to watch goddamn golf or some crap like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was only one TV and there was no video, there was no VHS. So it was a throwback. But yeah, we're marking the passing today of Chuck Norris. And he kind of disappeared into like I was gonna say he disappeared into like commercials for Coventry Direct insurance, like health insurance. Like if you miss a day of work,
that was to pay for horse food.
yeah, if you miss a day of work, you'll see what all these washed up celebs are doing. They're doing life insurance commercials that air during the soap operas, and
They're still running on Fox. They're still running the ad. What's the guy that was in that movie? He had the steel. He came back from Vietnam and he had a steel arm. What's the actor's name?
John Saxton?
No.
all right.
Anyways, he's been gone for like 2 years and they're still playing this stupid ass commercial. Friggin'
Yeah,
fucking. I forget what it's for.
They're going to
Fucking
keep
junk.
playing until everybody realizes that they're being ripped off.
Yeah, he came back from Vietnam and he had lost an arm and they killed his family and he was out for revenge.
I know what you're talking about. I thought it wasn't John Saxton. It was
No.
Damn it. It's one of Tarantino's favorites.
Is it something Rolling Thunder?
Yes.
Rolling Thunder.
Look it up, Jake.
Okay. Well, my YouTube, I don't know about you, but my YouTube has been out this whole time. On the app. I might try to restart my whole computer and see.
William Devane?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, William Devane. Well, he was in Bad News Bears.
Yep.
He was in Bad News Bears.
Claim to fame.
Right. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, I mean, usually he was like a character actor or something. He wasn't usually the main hero.
No.
Yeah, Major Charles Rain has come home to war. They don't show his arm, and I love this shot of the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
Recognize him too. He's got like a lazy eye or something. Yep, nothing like a cool movie montage.
Yeah, they don't make posters like that anymore.
Cost money.
Well, AI will do it.
It's all Photoshop bullshit now.
Yeah. Airbrush and Photoshop.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Jake, did you already go over what your blind bags from Newberry Comics? You already do that?
I think I still have. Yeah, we did 2, right, Kurt? Or we only did the 1?
I think you showed off something you've been reading or something last week.
Why don't you? But instead of doing that next time, why don't you actually show books that you love? Like I read this and this is great. Instead of like, hey, this is like some J. Scott Campbell knockoff. It's stupid as hell.
Well,
That's it.
we did tape a Comics and Influence when I got my Boston haul, and
Okay.
I showed some crumbs and
Hmm.
some stuff I discovered.
Yeah, that was a really decent haul.
I watched that episode.
Yeah, it was only like 5 or 6 books, so it was a mini
Right.
haul. Yeah. But yeah, you know, when you open up those Newberry Comics bags, people have to realize you're not even paying $1 a piece. So, you know, you kind of get.
But if you don't love it, it's still money thrown away.
Well, I've been very pleasantly surprised before, which is why I bought another one. But the last two were, you know, maybe there was like 2 out of the 10 that I thought, you know, were cool.
I'm surprised without the gift card that you'd even go back.
Well, no,
Yeah.
they gave you some Conans in there. The problem
Can we
was,
have a moment of silence for his wallet, please?
well, yeah, it's $5.99 for 10 books, you know.
I've been grabbing this new run of Metal Hurlant.
Yeah,
What do you
Metal
think?
Hurlant.
yeah.
Roulant?
They're like there's like 300 pages or something, like almost 300 pages in these issues. But they do a mix of reprinting the old stuff from the 70s and then like interspersed with new stuff from creators of today. But it got me jazzed up, so I pulled out the original heavy metal issue from '77 and read this last week. It's just
I had a copy of the first Heavy Metal. I sold it online.
I have every issue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
300 something issues of heavy metal.
so
Five magazine boxes.
we did mark the return of the of Heavy Metal, and I bought a copy. I actually got a couple copies. I bought one for me, and then I bought at Forbidden Planet they had the blank cover one,
Right.
so I grabbed that. But you know, I flipped through it, and you know,
It's not great.
well, there's some good stuff mixed in there with a lot
Yeah.
of lesser stuff, and I thought that they're putting too much in there, and that the paper stock is really a downgrade because it's like thin paper stock, and that they're, you know, that they have just too much going on. It's like,
Right.
you know, too much. You can't even do it in one sitting, and you know,
Isn't it like $13 or $14 for an issue too?
I don't think I pay that much. No, no, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, but I do have the blank cover one, and I'm getting to the point where I'm gonna have to at some point draw on those covers because I have um, blank covers for Daredevil #1 and and I think I even bought like a DC comic, and I just keep buying them, figuring I'm gonna draw something like at a convention or something, and then you
So
never do.
so I can't even draw anything, and I keep buying them. I have about 20 or 30 different ones, and sometimes there's a show in Connecticut at Mohegan Sun Casino, and I'll take a stack of them, and I'll pick an artist or whatever, and I'll go to his table and commission them. And he's like, "Well, what do you want me to draw?" And then I'll pull out the bag and say, "Choose one."
Yeah,
Like a deck of cards,
yeah.
and it kind of like jazzes them up because they're like, "Oh yeah, this one is. I love Ghost Rider. Or I love Conan or whatever.
Yeah.
So
So that's what they're for, and they're collectible, you know, as blanks. You don't have to do the art, because that means you could always do it. Somebody could always do it later, and that has value.
right. Do you think in this original heavy metal issue, you know how you said in the reboot, the whatever the latest version is, that there was some good stuff and some pretty weak stuff?
Yeah.
Do you think they thought that of this magazine too, or is it just looking back on it now that everything in this issue looks so great?
Well, it was very experimental, right? Wasn't it like basically the guys from the National Lampoon went over to Europe and they decided that they were gonna try reprinting it all and bringing it over. Yeah, so it was already proven commodity in another country.
Right.
No, all of Europe. Like all of Europe. It
All of
came out
it.
of Paris, France, but it was like super huge in all of Europe. I mean, it was Mobius's work alone, next to Drulier, was just completely shifting the consciousness of comic book art over there and making. Like he was showing they were showing the possibilities were yet to be tapped into. And I think the guys at National Lampoon we're probably feeling the same way about American comics. Is like, how many goddamn times are we going to see Batman fighting it's just come on already.
Never
Like,
gonna end.
can we do something else as a country and as an art form? No, we can't. And then here this was. But yeah, no, that heavy metal, I still.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to say about, there was this kind of effect that undergrounds had on the business, and the kind of like the longing that artists had, for like more freedom and of expression and freedom of art styles, and you like if you didn't have the Marvel or DC house style, you couldn't work, and this kind of opened it up, and the undergrounds, they did their thing. They were pretty much cooked by the mid '70s, um, but that's the one thing that stayed around. And by the time you get to the '80s, you have like all these people with this kind of like shackles taken off about the kind of stuff that they can express in a comic.
Right.
They took full advantage, and so it was just a natural progression to the indie explosion, natural progression to heavy metal and metal hurlant. But and because in Europe they were just living that, and in America we were just discovering it.
Right.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to put together like an indie version of heavy metal, like an anthology, and get like a bunch of people I know to do stuff. But sounds like a lot of work.
Another anthology. Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. So by the funny thing about Crumb
Good
is
job.
funny thing about Crumb that people don't know is like, he had this heyday in the late '60s and early '70s, and he was still growing and growing. But then, like, what happens to him in the '80s and the '90s? And so you're just reading this all chronologically, and I've gotten up to like the '80s now in the book, and yeah, so he became an editor of his own comic, and he was going out and finding talent, and he was collecting all the pages, making all the deals. He was still bringing it to a publisher that he worked with to get it all published. I forget which one. It might have been the Printment. When all the art was there, but it was an incredible amount of work. It was very unrewarding, financially at the time. But that was the Weirdo series, Weirdo Comics, which featured, and the deal that he made with I forget if it was like Last Gasp or Printman or whatever, but the deal that they made with him is like, as long as it has a Crumb cover, we will carry it no matter what's on the inside. And so they made how many issues? I don't know how many issues they made, but over the years, Weirdo comics were made, and it was supposed to be an anthology, more in the vein of like Mad Magazine, but for adults, and kind of like what was going on with Art Spiegelman and Raw at that time. Like Crumb was looking over at him and the success that he was having, and the yearning that people were having for something different using the comic art form, but that was kind of groundbreaking, and not this kind of like superhero shit you see all over and over again.
Right.
Yeah. So it's interesting that the undergrounds, the one lasting effect that the undergrounds had was that there's, from now till forever, there's always going to be this market for comics that are more mature and more adult and more expressive, and creator owned and independently run and everything. So we can all thank the undergrounds for unleashing that.
I guess the question is, though, is the market big enough to sustain
No,
making a project like that these days?
No, it's not. But in the late '60s, all the way up to like 70, 71, 72, like maybe even up to the mid '70s, you could live in Cleveland and support yourself doing art, and you could even live in like San Francisco and support yourself doing art. And it's funny because they have a check-in like in the '80s with all of the Zap guys and all the underground guys, and what are they doing now? And some of them just went back to like a day job, doing like commercial art or whatever. And some of them were doing you know animation, and they had to get into a slightly related field that paid better. um, and very few of them, like they talk about Spain and S. Clay Wilson. They kind of lived life on the edge, with their heavy drinking and stuff, and so they didn't, they refused to buckle under, and they, had very alcoholic existences, and but yeah, Crumb, the secret of Crumb like sustaining himself all those years was that he just lowered his expenses by moving out, to a property, and living bare bones, and him and his wife, and he was with Aline then. They they did all their own like building, and they did their own farming and raising chickens and stuff. So I guess the secret is get out of New York, get out of San Francisco.
Did you pick up Crumb's new issue?
Yes, I did, but we haven't looked at it yet, and I have a copy for Kurt too. But we haven't gone inside.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure it's selling well. You can buy it right now on the Fantagraphics website for $6. And
You can imagine how many people who need more like hate for him are buying copies of that comic just so they can review it. Though all the reviews I've seen so far have been, they always open the same way. They're completely apologetic, for the content, for for him as a character, right? So they apologize for him being a curmudgeon and disconnected from, the new ways of going about things. But they all then say the next thing is like, you can't look past the amount of artistry that he puts into his work. It's impossible to dismiss him because of the technique of telling a story. You might not like the story, you might hate to hear that story, but you can't deny him.
yeah, I mean, we spoke at length about the controversy around his art and his content, and what you read in the book is that it really is contained to a period of time that he grew out of and moved on from. But it doesn't matter. Like he still gets that rap because that is some of his most well-known stuff, and it's probably the stuff that still produces him the most money.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, how many people want to see secretly these stories? Like, that was the thing Heavy Metal magazine did to me. I mean, it was very much conscious expanding, because it completely shattered the childhood of Saturday morning cartoons and Marvel comic books and the like, to like, what is going on here? Like, there's something else going on that I'm now just getting privy to. So now
Right.
I now need to investigate and find more, And then next time that I actually was able to have like a conversation with somebody, it was somebody I was running cross country with, invited me into their garage while their parents weren't home. We smoked some weed, listened to Frank Zappa, and flipping through, Zap comics and underground comics, Furry Freak Brothers and stuff like that. And he was just getting into it, all of that, but the amount of enthusiasm he had for like grokking it, like really kind of getting it. I was like, oh, okay, so this is what it's all about, like I get it, whether I kept with it or agree completely with it, partially is just another thing with growing up. I mean, that's what you should do. And I think for his work, he had to do this stuff in order to exorcise demons, from his upbringing and just also what he's seeing right in front of him in the world. I mean, I don't know how you can't walk around and not see racism and sexism and think just by going to the supermarket and back. I mean, it's just so blatantly out there.
Yeah, it was a reflection of society, and the people that they say you can't look away. It's forcing you to confront it and all that, and but it's also exploiting all that, to get people to buy your comic and to get people to buy it again and again.
It's America, baby.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, heavy metal definitely was one of the things that kept me reading comics when a lot of kids would age out.
Yep, me
I
too.
had a paper route, and I had my little sack with my papers, and the very last house on the route at the bottom of the hill, Bobby Knight's house, his mother or somebody, I mean, he was older than me, so say I was, I don't know, 13, he must have been 20 something. For the trash the next day, they had a big cardboard box full of, I want to say like 25 issues of heavy metal. I just threw all that in my little sack and biked back up to my house,
oh,
threw it under my bed.
happy,
It
No,
was like, you know,
happy Matt. Yeah,
that's gold, baby.
that's
That's
a score.
gold. That's
yeah,
better than money.
Thank God I
yeah,
had
it
that.
was. It was incredible. It's
Yeah,
like
we
when I
all,
first saw Inky Bilal's work was that one with the hockey. They played
Yeah,
hockey, and he had the blades
yeah.
on the end of the and would cut him in the throat. Like all those issues, man. Such good stuff.
yeah, those were the days. I think like a lot of younger people nowadays don't have that kind of like shock to the system that we had, because they've just
No,
grown up.
because they're growing up on the internet where you can see porn at age whatever,
Yeah,
immediately. You're completely desensitized to all this shit.
not yeah, not just comics, like everything. You can
Yeah,
imagine how like messed up and twisted up their brains are at this point. But we all have the same story. Like, yeah, like my mom had a boyfriend, and he brought a stack of Playboys, and there was some Zaps in there, and I got a hold of
right.
them when I was only like 9 or something. And
Sure.
then
Yeah.
these people are like, yeah, well, that was the first time I ever was home alone. I went on the internet.
Yeah. So Jake, I know you got that other book that your kids at school you have been doing for years. Is that coming? Is that forthcoming?
Yeah, so what happened with that is I started scanning the pages, and I have a cover. I think I have the whole thing ready to go. All I got to
Maybe give
do.
your audience a quick description of what we're talking about.
Yeah, so Pearl White Malady. It started out based as like I wanted to do something like Commandy, but it's like the last girl on Earth, and she wakes up on a demon planet. The Earth has been transformed. She was cryogenically sealed into a chamber with decapitated Wilt Eisney, and there's just like nonstop battles with demons. We have 5 issues underway. The first one is done, and all I got to do is scan the pages and send it to a printer. What happened was my scanner is downstairs, and it's really freaking cold down there.
Oh my God, I can't. I
So
just can't.
I had to sit up a whole winter waiting for the weather to break, and then I should be
This
able to
fucking guy.
I should be able to get to it pretty soon.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm hoping that I'll have it for IC3. But I'm also like, that's kind of a different project. I try to keep it separate because it has kids involved. So I'm gonna be printing up copies and bringing them to school and all that kind of stuff. And
Will the first issue of that be ready in time for IC?
yeah, that's
Cool, man. I think you guys are gonna have some cool stuff. I can't wait.
We are. We are.
yeah. I mean, and when you talk about me, like how I guess ADD I am. I also have
Yeah, thanks.
that whole poster art project with all my band
Yeah.
posters. I got like 20 something years of band posters that I can curate and
I told you before, put that together in a book and just have it on your table. Maybe it's not your bestseller, but it's cool as hell, man. Somebody's gonna love that.
I know. All I gotta do is just chase down the high res thing, but it takes some time. You got to make a cover, and you got to make a blurb and an indicia and all that. So,
You got to make the indicia. Okay.
yeah, well, that takes a couple hours.
Lord have mercy on this guy.
Hey, man, I have a full time job. Tomorrow morning. I'm gonna be.
Dude, you're on Substack 3 times a day. Stop it.
I might go on a Saturday night and then a Sunday after we broadcast, but that would be it.
So, do you guys know Ian Cinco?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we had him
So
on.
he has that book Erratica. Have you seen that?
Yes.
yeah,
It's a book of his work. It's as big as Tales to Enlighten. It's a lot of pages.
yep.
And I kind of nudged him at the maybe 6 months ago or something, because I was like, "Are you going to have a second book?" And he's like, "Oh, it's cold in the basement, blah blah blah." He basically was saying, he didn't say that, but that it was a lot of work to scan everything. And I said, if you can just get, a few pages a day scanned and cleaned up, a couple pages. Kurt is a huge proponent of this, where he schedules, a certain amount of time to do each project every day. And before you know it, it's done,
Yep.
So, and
Yep.
he's been doing it, and he's been posting regularly, like every day he's got like 3 pieces up that he's cleaned up for the new book. So it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
That's what you need to do.
I know.
Just get a couple.
I will.
Hey, get your winter coat on, your earmuffs. Get down in the basement, power up the scanner, scan 4 pieces, and then get out of there before it gets too cold.
Well, that's what I did. That's what I have so far done. 4 pieces.
4 pieces skin.
But yeah, I mean, listen, my buddy Jimmy, who used to own the comic shop, we get collections in, and we break them down, and then there wasn't room on the floor for everything, so we put it up in the attic, the storage space above. And all the time he would say, "Listen, you can't sell it if it's not out, so you have to get it out. You have to, get that thing printed and on a table."
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I'm not in a crazy rush is because like I know that when I retire, I'm gonna have all this stuff and more, and it's kind of nice to have it all because I can just release it all, bang, 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 bang. But
Yeah.
I'm also like kind of a disorganized slob, so there's that too. And
The fool who thinks he has till midnight dies at 11:50.
yeah, and I also work like Jacob Lawrence, the famous African American collage guy, and he did this like whole series of like when black people moved from the South to like Philadelphia and Detroit and everything, and in Chicago and all that. So what he used to do is he used to lay out like 8 or 10 of his big paintings or collages all at a time on this across all these tables, and then he would just like go from one to the other and working on it a little bit, and I guess it was all done whenever he had his deadline for his exhibition or whatever. So I kind of do that. I skip around, and but I'm very proud of the fact that I worked pretty methodically on the Crom 9 pager because I wanted to give Kurt an early birthday surprise
Mm-hmm.
for his half birthday, and 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 then it keeps it more interesting for me, like to go from one thing to the other, because I imagine like this is what Stan Lee used to do. He's like, one minute you're thinking about Daredevil, the next minute you're thinking about the X-Men, the next minute you're thinking about Thor, and the next minute you're thinking about this one and that one. And like, it's not like Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby had to have this comic done and the pages done, but if you have your druthers, you can skip around and, whatever ideas are coming, you work on that project and then the other ones just kind of, sit and wait. So, there's a front burner and there's a back burner, and Turbo is always the number one on Sundays, and then we'll get done whatever we can. I mean, it's good to talk to you every once in a while and get the little kick in the ass that we need. Um, but it's not like where I'm not doing stuff. It's just like I'm not doing it strategically. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
So even if you have a font made, you still have to, you'll still be micro moving that stuff. Like, what's it called? Kerning? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. No. Once we have the font, maybe it'll all type out on a line, and
Yeah, but
all we got to do then
I,
is just like copy fitting. Make sure it fits in the balloons.
there's a great, Living the Line, the YouTube channel and publishing
Yeah.
publisher. There's
Yeah.
there's a great video of him lettering. What book was it? That Viking book. I forget what it's called. I'll send you a link. Where he had a font made because this guy was like Norwegian, say, and so he had to translate it.
Yeah.
And he had a font. He made a font based on the artist's author's handwriting, and typed it out, like you guys want to do. But then he still felt like the spacing still wasn't quite appropriate, for certain words and stuff. You still had to go back and like move stuff around. Do you think that's going to be the case or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do that right, because when you make a font, it's called kerning pairs. Like every letter, when it's next to every other letter, has a very high number of different combinations that could be. So you do
Right.
after you type it all out. But I'm very quick. The only fear I have, I'm very quick with kerning.
Sorry.
Kerning in Quark. So you'll just type out the words and then you'll do the kerning by hand, and then the line spacing, and then export that into a EPS file that you can bring into Photoshop, and just snuggle it all into the word balloons.
That sentence you just said has not been uttered by another human in a decade. I am very quick at kerning in Quark.
A decade. Try at least
2 decades.
Yeah, I know, and I'm definitely afraid that my Quark is going to die, and this white laptop is going to die, because I have no idea what I'm going to do when that happens. But
it will eventually. My brother had a laptop that he used exclusively for this kind of stuff, and eventually he said the battery it bulged out. It looked like it was ready to explode.
Yeah, that happened to me, and so I can only use this plugged in now. There is an empty battery compartment here.
Okay.
And it's
Yeah.
and that's also a problem, because every time.
It's teetering.
What's that?
You're teetering.
Teetering?
Yeah, I mean you're playing with fire in that, the already the indicator is that you have no battery. You're just running off of the power set.
Yeah, there's
DEFCON 1.
What'll go next? What'll go next is the BIOS, which is just what holds the whole thing together. It'll just degrade. I mean, it is degrading.
Well, the battery's been.
If there's anything, the conversation should be when I'm going to get my new laptop and when I can find a way to get, transferable application and skill sets over there.
I'm gonna have to do everything on paper at that point. I don't know.
So another thing is my pal Tony Farrow. I don't know if he still does this, but he had either made a font of his handwriting or he used something that was close enough, and he would lay out all the word balloons with the font, and then he would lightbox it and actually hand letter using that as a guide. I don't know if that's the way to do it.
Yeah, that's what we were doing.
I don't know if that's something. Okay.
we were doing that in the beginning, and
Okay.
it's a little too time consuming that way. Yeah, the
More than this?
what's that?
More than what you're doing now?
Well, when we finish, yeah, I mean, we're kind of stuck doing this now because the last 6 pagers we did using that
Mm-hmm.
system, but
Yeah,
Right. You can't switch it. Yeah, I
right,
get you.
we can't
yeah,
change. We're in midstream, so we can't change
Right.
the news.
yeah,
That makes sense.
One of us will drown.
yeah, the next 6 pages it's going to be different because I told Kurt like we're better off. I'm just stealing a letter from one area and bringing it into another area. That's much quicker. So that's what we're doing, and and then we also have the font, and because we're going to be doing a couple other comics besides Turbo, so we're working it out. But yeah, just how much time it takes. Like, how many artists are out there that have unlettered pages, and they're just like dreading ever doing lettering, so they've been sitting in a shelf for like 20 years. I'm sure there's
Well, that's why there's actual people out there that do lettering. I mean, if it's that big of a deal, if that's what's holding you up from releasing a comic, that sounds not
yeah.
good.
Well, but then you have to give the letterer a full script, and it's got to be edited, and it's got to be final, because this is actually going to be what they're going to letter. So that's kind of like cleaning up for the house.
That's true. You do have to do you have to do the work.
Yes, I call that cleaning up for the housekeeper, right? And that's what's holding the people back. It's like this whole workflow that they're avoiding, for however long. I got pages myself that are just loose pages, projects that were started and abandoned, and they could go into a scrapbook, edition that I could do, like erotica or whatever. And one day I will, but one thing at a time.
Right. So
One
I don't even
Sunday at
know
a
if
time.
I don't even know if I'm going to actually table at IC3. I'm toying with the idea of like withdrawing my application and just
Dude, no,
hanging
I'll take
out.
the table.
Well, I don't have a confirmed one yet either. Nobody does, but
Right. Well, if you
I mean, I'm basically out of my first book. I have 4 copies left that are going up tomorrow
Oh,
on
congratulations!
the Power Pulp website. So
Congratulations!
have to
yeah,
get
that's good
print
and
more,
bad though, right? Because now what?
well, you get print more, right?
Yeah, but
I think you should do the opposite and then just break down the story into floppies and then just start.
that's I think I talked to you about that. I
Yes, we
said
did. We did
I
talk about that.
basically I approached it as continuing all my ass backward decisions, going from the trade paperback down to floppies.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
but
there
then
is a whole market in a sense for that. I think it's way more, it's probably more for the shows. Like that's what
hmm
works better is that you have floppies for the shows. But you do have um, um, Power Pulp to kind of play with it as well. Because if they're out of stock, the first one, the Behemoth here, which I have right here, I always have it near.
bless you.
If it's
That's the second one, but yep.
oh, that is the second one. I'm sorry. But you're just you're in a position where you can offer. I mean, how many? Let me grab it.
Yeah, so I mean the problem is if I do it in floppies, then I have to worry about keeping 4 or 5 issues in stock all the time, instead of
But
just one.
the big issue was. I mean, you printed the same amount of it of the second volume?
No, I printed 1,000 of the first one, and I printed 750 of the second
Okay. So yeah, so this is sold 1,000 minus 4.
I used the mix them. Obviously you do.
Yeah, yeah.
I used their calculator on the website, and it said basically you're shit out of luck, man. I mean, and that's so that book is 312 pages. I was going to eliminate all the pinups and make it like a 200-page book.
Yeah.
And even still, it's just. I mean, I
How
didn't
much?
even price it for the
How much?
300.
How much did it come to?
Basically, like $12 a book.
Yeah, that would probably.
So if I want to sell it at $30 a book instead of the 45 that it is now, uh, well, that's fine. I don't mind making $18 a book. That's great. But when I wholesale it, then I'm basically doing it for nothing.
Right.
Yeah. The printing is a big deal, and
So I guess I'm gonna probably hit up.
Lulu's $9.47 for 7 by 10. That's what you're running here, right? You're running a 7 by 10.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
did you
Yeah,
price
seven
it
by
for
ten.
offset?
Huh?
Did you try getting a quote from an offset printer?
I haven't. All I've done so far is just type it into the Mixum calculator. That's it.
Well, they say it's more cost effective when you're doing runs of 300 and higher to do
Hmm.
offset. Um,
Of course.
so that's a different thing, and I know I don't
With
know
Mixum, there was no price break between doing 100 and doing 500.
of that. No, that's weird because you do get price breaks with smaller volumes.
Hey
And
Jake, just real quick. We're running up to 1 o'clock, but are you still needing to get out early?
I'm
Did you get a?
looking for the text. I'm supposed to
Okay,
run somebody over to a record fair today, but
okay.
he didn't get back to
Just
me.
wanted to
So
make sure.
I'm shooting. I just shot him a text and asked
Okay,
if we're doing this or not. Um,
okay.
but I'll keep you posted if I have to run out of
All
here.
right, all right. Well, we are running up on the 1 hour. I mean, the 1 o'clock. We got another 15, 20 minutes. Um, but
What's going
yeah,
on with
the other thing, Matt, the one thing I wanted to ask you was how if you can speak to this. I'm super curious because we know at IC3 Cosmic Lion is actually he's um, Eli's got a big like section of that show going. You had mentioned possibly that Power Pulp would have like a contained area, like maybe you guys would be grouping together. Is that
That is the
in
plan.
discussion?
Yeah.
Is that the plan? Is that the plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the plan. And Jamie Jones, who's one of the founders of Power Pulp, is involved with Matt Sardo and stuff. So I can't
There's a
imagine
good
it wouldn't
chance.
happen.
There's a good chance you guys could get in then. I mean, Power Pulp could get. There's a good chance. But I know. But yeah, but I thought wasn't Power Pulp also listed for the sponsorship too?
Yeah, we are doing some
All right,
stuff
so
for them.
you
Yeah.
guys are already playing outside the box for like
Right.
submission. You're just talking about your own table, two
Correct.
table.
Certainly, the Power Pulp will be represented there. Whether I mean, there's 40 members. I mean, everybody doesn't want to come, but I mean, it's not going to be the Power Pulp convention. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be funny. It would be funny if um, between John and James Coates, that one had a table just for the Coates brothers. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then there's a Power Pulp. That type of thing.
Yeah. So the idea, I think, would be to have a Power Pulp table with books from creators that aren't there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, but I'm also saying like just to not be. There is something about having a table and being able to focus one on one as the
Hmm.
creator to the potential fan that you're trying to build a connection with. It's
Right.
different when like Eli's moving books, or Power Pulp is trying to move books. It's just 7.95 or whatever it is. You're just running a register. That
Hmm.
type of thing. So it would be curious to see um, you know, and also, like I said, my complaint is I'd love to stand at table. If I don't get a table, I'm just gonna be going from table to table to table,
Right.
chewing on people's ears, checking out the books, making deeper connections.
Like that sounds. I don't want to give up my table and not make sales, but going going as just an attendee and going table to table, talking to people, that sounds great.
Yes, yes. So
Well,
like I see
Can't
there's
do
gonna be a lot
can't
of
do
you're
both
right.
though. Can't do both though.
No,
No, I'm hoping to have a I want somebody else there with me that I can move away from the table with confidence. That's one of the things down here. I'm trying to build a relationship with somebody, like a trust relationship, where then I can leave the
Mm.
pay the pay app open for them and that such. So
Need an intern.
yeah, like an intern, but they might actually have work in crime anthology or what have you.
Right.
I might
Well,
actually. It's weird because I have two nephews that if I asked them, they would totally want to do it. But
oh,
that's my
really?
concern. My concern is like I feel like they would be so like gone. They'd just be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, pay attention, focus. Focus on charging
Right.
the right amount for stuff. That type of thing. So, but who knows? Who knows?
Mhm.
September is a worlds away, but yeah, if there are some silver linings if we don't get a table, we'll just like, oh, we'll go out for lunch. Oh wow, we can, go. I could take a nap in the car. You could do all kinds of stuff that you could never do. And
Take a nap in the car.
well,
The idea is not to sleep for the weekend.
if the right if the hotel room is too far, but yeah, the hangout. To me, the greatest part was like the whole hangout, the after hours.
I
That
know.
was
Yeah.
that was so valuable.
I'm a little concerned about that because the show hours are 12 to 8, which I think is kind of crazy. But
Really, that's a marathon.
yeah, yeah, it's like 10 to 6 is what it should be, but they can't. I guess the venue they can't get it open in time or something. I'm not sure what the deal is, but it's supposedly not set by the show. It's set by the venue. But I just think anything after 5 or 6 o'clock is just dead for
Yeah.
customers anyways. And
Yep.
then also like it screws up. So we start breaking down at 8. You get out of there at 9 or something. What happened?
Great.
What? Yeah, my dinner. I go to bed. My usual bedtime is a lot earlier. It's
Yeah.
like
Mm.
I don't know. It just seems like we're getting the social time is going to be cut. That's all.
Yeah, I could see that.
Are you guys? You guys came up the night before also, right? Yeah, you did.
No, I did. I did. I was there Friday for the setup. So I was
That's
there
right. I
Friday.
remember.
Jake, yeah, no, Jake showed up Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were there both nights, right?
Yep. Yep. It was
Yeah.
good. We even got to go out in New Haven and see you know a little bit of New Haven too.
Right. We walked down to the Yale. We went in there and saw the book collection thing they had going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good times.
I put in for a table in Daytona. I mean Orlando. But because I can just stay. We have a house in Daytona that I can stay in. So
Yeah, it's in Jacksonville.
oh, Jacksonville, right? But it's like a 2 hour drive, so it's not Orlando, right? But I guess I don't know if they're going to announce those concurrently, but I'm willing to do both of those.
When's that show?
July.
Well, they must be announcing that stuff sooner than
Yeah.
the IC3. You'd think that'd be any
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Hope so, because I'm off in
You
July.
guys, when you guys put your applications in, you obviously want to be tabled next to each other. Yeah,
Yeah. But they
you
don't,
put that on,
yeah, they don't give you much room to like explain anything. So
right?
the worst case scenario was, we just make it happen. You know what I mean? Like, Matt was super responsive. Sardo. I mean, there's no, he never said no to me when I was there with my suggestions. He just could stare at me for a second, be like, he would go, let me think about that. And then he'd swing back around 15 minutes. He's like, yeah, 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 let's do that.
Oh, that's cool.
It's hot table. You know what I mean? So it was like, he's not trying to not allow us to have what it is that he says he's set up.
Right, right.
Right. All right. Well, guys, I gotta bail.
Okay.
So you can
You got to go out right now. I'll close out with Matt.
go ahead. Yeah, have fun. But
Yeah.
I'll see you next week.
All right. Cool.
All right.
Take
Good
care.
talking to you, Jake.
Later, man. You can talk behind my back now.
All right.
Oh, we will. Can you believe that guy? Unbelievable.
That guy.
Go for it.
That guy. That guy. How the hell does he get his shoes tied? Hey, what the hell? But yeah. No, things are exciting, man. Really.
Yeah, sounds like you guys are on a real roll, man.
We are. It's.
I mean, after 4 years, I really want to see this thing.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, when Jake contacted me, two things. First thing is Pearl White Malady and Turbo were on the table for like 2 weeks. We were bouncing. He was sending me stuff. I was like tweaking things. Like I started working on a little bit of here and there. And then he was like, well, the kids, how do I keep the kids involved? You know what I mean? Like it's the semantics got out of the control. And I was like, well, we'll just do Turbo. That was the thing. But with my marketing business, if you will, I was at a intersection, if you will, with clients, and the big thing that I was at the intersection with the clients I had, all three of them, as a matter of fact, was like I was saying to them explicitly, you need to do podcasting. You need to either, I'll help you get yourself signed up, or you start your own, and then we bring guests in. And all of them were like, nah. And I started thinking like, man, I mean, if they're not going to do it, and I know this is one of the best marketing tools that you can have out there, we should do it. And then so Jake and I would kind of get together on Sundays. I think we were Skyping. I think that was the thing. And then he said, like, after like a week or two, he was like, why aren't we just doing a podcast? I was like, you want to do a podcast? He's like, yeah, let's just figure it out. I'm like, yeah. And I'll leave it at that, though, because I listened to the first like 5-10 minutes of our first episode of Comics That Influence. We're like, what are we supposed to be doing? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
but
live and learn.
But the thing is like I started rapidly appreciating the fact that when we get 4 or 5 years out and we have that first comic book, it'll work in reverse. Like people will go, wait a second, you've been doing a podcast, making this every Sunday for the last, 4+ years.
Right.
Holy, and now people would come back. We're still getting really good views on the old, not only views, but comments.
That's great.
Like I'll get comments and I'll be like, what are they commenting on? And then I'll check out I was like, holy, that was episode 7.
Wow. So they're going back to the beginning and watching it.
I think it just comes up. You know what I mean? It just comes up, and like they give it a shot, and then they hear something. And I think the majority of people are artists themselves, so they want that
makers,
noise, like that white noise in the makers. Yeah, they just want to hear and stuff like that.
It makes sense. I mean, usually the people you have in your comments, I feel like are makers,
Yeah,
the Saboteur guy with his Kickstarter right now.
Charlie, yep.
So I saw you guys threw up the book on the screen. It's already printed.
I'm assuming,
or that's a test run or something.
It feels totally. I mean, this is newsprint.
I love it. So he'll be delivering right away then, huh?
Well, we're gonna find out next week. I gotta
awesome.
I gotta reach out to him and make sure that he's good for coming on.
Who's your other buddy there? Brutal Blade, Ron Parsons.
Yeah.
Is that him?
Yeah.
So somebody posed, either he did or who's the artist he's working with?
James Anthony.
Yeah, that looked great too.
He got Star Marshall to color.
Right.
That.
Well, I don't know who that is.
Here, let me tease the out of you.
Whatever they posted last night or yesterday looked pretty good.
So this is the first mock-up of
okay.
And the Citadel of Swords. This is Ron Parsons writing, James Anthony. Ron Parsons reached out to me and was like, is there room for this in Crom's world or blah 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 blah. So we started going back and forth, and I'm actually doing. He's right now. Ram is because he owns this. Is going to be my first what I call print partnering. So I'm basically shepherding the book through the whole print processing, and then it will be what I call Crom published.
Mm.
So it'll be on Crom the
So,
Barbarian.
so you're looking at all the files, making sure it's print ready, kind of stuff, or
Well, I'm actually doing like edits too. Like we're kind of working all together on
okay.
really tightening up, and it's based on.
And when you say it's colored, just the cover, or are they coloring the whole thing?
No, it's black and white inside. It's black. It's
Okay. I saw
and
when you flipped through it was black and white, but
and James Anthony has a very like distinct linear style and really nice.
I like
so
it.
we're yeah, it's coming together real. But it's all based on Black Mark.
Okay, yeah.
Ron Parsons, I had him on Crom the Barbarian, the Crom update, and we just got into this conversation about. I think he even pulled out his copy of this, and I was like, "Yeah, it's revolutionary." I'm working towards a similar type of like feeling. I love the magazine style, obviously more, but you got to work on this text. So I actually introduced a kind of neat stylistic approach to integrating that. We're right now in the middle of kind of trying to figure out as a format. But
So that's how his text is going to be like that, like a prose
not as
with
not as not as prose heavy, but picking out sort of the signaling points in sentences and kind of bringing those forward and dropping out and letting the art kind of tell their thing. Gil Kane's like approach to Black Mark was, I think he really did want to have something in the paperback market with a lot more illustration, which even could have backed him into illustrating other people's work this way. You know what I mean? And then of course it got over into comic format and stuff. But I still think both Ram and I really think there's way more potential, especially in a pulp escapist, sitting down and reading and stuff. Like I mean, my own, yeah. You made a really nice comment, and which was the play to the whole idea of like, if I have the pictures enough, giving storytelling elements, it could cause somebody to have the reaction to go, wait a second, let me go back and start reading.
When we did that episode, I told you I was fully prepared to skip over that whole thing with all those words, and between the illustrations and just the way it started with spaceship stuff, I was like, I'm in.
So there's a lot of potential. I think in the future of indie comics. I just really think we're at the beginning, especially with experimentation.
So when's that Ron Parsons, James Anthony graphic novel coming?
We're not in a position to give any kind of announcement. It's 150 pages, but really that's what we have right now. Like right now we're concentrating on the prologue itself, and that prologue has got to get basically all three of us agreeing that it's doable. That then especially James and Ram is the script writer and James is the artist, can go back and recommit themselves in a focus towards those, let's say completing the pages. But even there, we'll probably run another mock-up with that cover that you just commented on, that Ram posted on Instagram, and then like really look at the flow of it, because I think it is going to still be a tough sell because of the literal quality of reading it, even with the pictures. Like I think James has such an equality. I'm actually jealous because when I first ran across his stuff, I was like, I was trying to do the same thing here. It was trying to keep trying to keep the merging of the image and the words together. So when you read the page, there was almost like a non disconnect. It wasn't like read the balloon, see the picture. It was like read, 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 read. And James has a quality in his work that really leans into it, and I have to give Ram, props for connecting with James and putting it together. So yeah, it's gonna.
How long have they been working on that?
I'm gonna go over a year.
Cool.
I'm gonna go over a
Great.
year.
I love to see that, man. I love to see these collaborations coming together, and I'm excited to. Here's my money. I'll buy that.
Yeah. So it'll be it'll be widely talked about. Between my channel, cromthebarbarian.com, and this channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Doing good. All right. Well, I guess I got to do the closeout here, which is we have other. I always see Jake always does this for me, so I'm like completely non prepared to speak in his tone and everything. But we have our other segments, which is comics that influence, which I just posted my Chud haul, which was cut out of last week's episode. So there was like 40 comics that I picked up for $1. There's also links to Rave Sensation, Dan Snoke. He went through his comics. So we're asking people to watch both of those, my episode and his episode, and then judge who got the better books. I think it was me, but but we'll see. So he did get some good. He got some good books and everything. And of course, our Indie Creator Exchange. We have the impromptu today with Matt King. We're going to have Charlie from Saboteur Comics, hopefully next week, if not very, very soon. And then Tom Chalimi. I just spoke with him last Wednesday and picked up one of his. These are the villains of Lost Lander. So this is the trade paperback for it, and this is all for toys. He's shown off some of the stuff that's going on for this line of toys that he's working on, and he has some great updates.
Oh, wow.
But he's also a comic book store owner, so with distribution and the such, he has some great updates and everything. So the Indie Creator Exchange, there's a whole playlist there. And of course, if you're an indie creator and you want to engage us, just reach out. There's a link in the description. But Matt, it's always a good time having you on. And of course, we are going to have to just keep in touch and keep each other motivated. So
yeah, I don't feel like you have any problem in the motivation department. It's me. Like Taylor Swift says, I'm the problem. It's me.
Yeah, I can feel you on it. It's the only thing that I have to say that really does me justice in productivity is Google Calendar in my email box. I mean, I have right now 40 emails in there. Now they're all touch base stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's, reach out to Matt and ask him, blah, 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 blah. That kind of stuff and everything. Or checking on things, which, I could do, in a morning or an afternoon. But then there are things that I have to do. Like, I got the, see here. So these two are on Amazon. You can get these on Amazon not only as print on demand, but also as ebooks. And I got to work on getting 256 pages reformatted for Amazon, so I can then get this up as well. Wow. So yeah, I mean, there's some grueling stuff there, but it's there and it stares at me, and I've got to.
You guess you just have to pick away at it a few pages at a time, like we were talking about with Jake, right?
Yep. That's definitely what
Or is it something like, I mean, I don't understand all the ins and outs of technology, but is it something like Photoshop where you can set up an action and then it?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It doesn't. It's like a day or two of time.
Okay.
But it's also like I get scared on like committing to something because then if I have something already committed the next day, I don't want to bump it, So, but I'm getting once, and the biggest thing has been I don't know if you saw, but tomorrow I'll be flipping through page by page for the mock-up of World Anthology #2. And then that recording, though, will only be viewable on cromthebarbarian.com. But now that I have this, I have my marching orders. Everybody else has theirs. I knocked General Crom off the list and my Lala story, just because I have so much that I need to get. Oh, here's the Jamie Burrows. These are the pencils. It's called Barbarian in the Pit, and it's like Crom fighting all these other characters and stuff. It's great. I cannot wait to throw my inks down on these and stuff. So these are the pencils and stuff. I got Jake Quirk, right? Just got his final pages for his 5-pager. What else could I tease? Oh yes, and I got the final pages for Drawn Swords Crom Courageous, written with Ron Parsons. So he inked the pages. So if you go over to Drawn Sword Graphics on YouTube, you can see that. And with all the talk about Turbo Pit Fighter and the Doom mags and everything, we still have copies not only for purchase for the teaser, but also as PDFs. So over at cromthebarbarian.com and cromthebarbarian.com. But other than that, Matt, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back again. And,
my pleasure. You can find my stuff at powerpulpcomics.com. If you're quick, maybe tomorrow or Tuesday, you get one of the last 4 copies of that book.
I was just saying, man, that is awesome, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
But all right then, that's a wrap. We'll see everybody next Monday.
Bye.